And we are live. It's time for ThursDIAZ. Oh my God, my name is Beto Duran. How are you doing, everybody? It's another edition, and look, it's 8 o'clock, and it's on time. It's on the dot. Thanks to everybody who's been tagging us, ThursDIAZ, Cuñado, who's been grilling, and he went to shop today and said, hey, I'm going to go and get it. It's Beto Duran, Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, as always, ThursDIAZ. Señores, how are we doing? And let's just keep the fingers crossed. I deleted a lot of programs, and we got it ready to go. Joel, how you doing today? ¿Qué está tomando?
I'm doing great. Ahorita I got something in the fridge right now. I'm gonna get it over
okay,
here right
all right.
I went to the store really quick, and when I got back, I just told my daughter to. She was my IT person today. Junior's busy in his room.
Hey, you know, everybody left.
Junior's doing shoes, something with shoes.
Ay, ¿qué pasó? Una victoria caguama.
Hey, and it's really, really cold. I mean, you can see. Está como nalga de pingüino.
That came straight from Mexicali.
Open it up.
There you go. So your IT is also a bartender. That's good. And Roberto, your IT guy is hanging out with the new dog right now. How are you doing?
Yeah, he went to pick up Andres' new dog to take it to him to Miami tomorrow, and the other ones are going crazy trying to get to that little dog. He has a little Frenchie, a baby, 8 weeks old.
And okay, so no Louis the 13th today. I hope.
No Louis the 13th today.
Okay.
We finished it last week.
Okay, so what do you have today?
Tonight we have a little red wine.
Ay! Okay.
Little cab from Napa.
Muy nice, muy nice, muy nice.
Something relaxed tonight.
Yeah, something to relax tonight. And I am having a beer from Bottle Logic Brewing in Fullerton. Our good friend, the Ace of SoCal, his cousin is actually the brewer there. So he made this beer. It's a little dark lager. And then afterwards, because it's ThursDIAZ, I know how to behave. I'm going to have some wine also. So we will take care of that also. So we're going to get all kinds of stuff. Mande, saludos a todos.
Salud.
Wait. Joel Diaz has his own mugs? Oh, that
one's frozen. And that one's frozen. You can tell that one's frozen. Ooh, look at that.
Look.
Wow. Saludos, everybody. Wow, that's how we started. And we want you drinking along at home. Leti Ariola, big supporter. Appreciate you. Marco311, saludos, compas. Mercito Hesta is watching right now. Albert Baker from Under the Hand Wraps. Everybody's going on. So that's going on. Oh, and look. Because I've been hanging out with you guys, I've gotten like fake fancy. So we've all bought stuff on Amazon that we don't need, right, during this time.
Oh my goodness, that's been my favorite friend.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I went and bought a humidor.
Wow. I got a chingón.
But I don't smoke. I'm gonna be like Pepe Gomez of broadcasters.
You're gonna be one cigar right there, boy.
So I went.
Make sure you damp it.
I did that
with distilled water.
Yes. Oh no, Bobby. No, I'm hold on. Yeah.
Good.
I even bought the little bottles with the
Keep going.
So I went and bought a humidor. The cigars are like, I went on this one website where you could buy, I kid you not, you type in cigar starter pack and they'll send you like 30 cigars for $25. Because I don't know what's good or what's not. But I got bored because I didn't want to hang out with friends because we don't have any right now. I didn't know you needed a cutter. So I bought a cutter. Right? And on the cutter, it has my name, Beto
Míralo, fancy.
Fancy Mexican. But
Fancy Mexican.
Yeah. But then I realized you need a special lighter for cigars. I didn't know this.
Yep.
Well, the torch, because if you do the gas lighter, you're going to get the flavor. So you want something, a torch, or you can light with the match, or light the little wood that comes with it, and then light your cigar.
Yeah,
but matches is good too.
But Joel has that nice torch, so it's one step at a time for me being fancy. I'm not there yet, but as you guys know with me, puro show. And that's the thing. The reason I want to have this show today, Art Alvarado, everybody's there. The saludos to everybody coming in. Toño Diaz. Oh, Toño's on time. Oh, our research department's here. Saludos, Toño. So I keep getting people sending me messages afterwards. Hey, thank you guys so much for having the show. It's a lot of fun. The comments that they leave on the YouTube or on Twitter. And it really is something that's different. And I watch all the different boxing shows that are out there. And look, I don't even have to tell you guys, hey, show on Thursday. You're already ready to go. You're ready to answer. This has been fun. And I'm going to start with you, Roberto. Why do you think boxing, the stories that we hear from them are just different from any other sport? Because it's just like a camaraderie. It's a community, I feel.
Absolutely. In boxing, look, it's a small circle. It's a small family. Sometimes you're against each other. Sometimes you're in the same corner. Sometimes you have the biggest rival and you become the best friends. It's a small circle. And the fans need to hear a lot of the inside stories that they don't hear all the time. You know, sometimes they tune into the fight. They hear what happened before, during, and after a little bit. But the behind the scenes sometimes is crazy, because in boxing there's so many different characters and personalities and funny things that happen, as well as some serious things and some not so pleasant. But there's some humorous things that go along, and through the years you get to know people from all over the world and just become, even if you don't see them. The other day, for instance, I got a picture from like 15 years ago from a promoter in South Africa when we were having dinner here in LA. Marco Antonio Barrera fought his fighter, Mozonke Fana. And I met him, Branco. I met him back then, but still maintained a friendship, a relationship. Saw him once when I met Ahmed, owner in Germany. And, you know, even though we don't see each other and we don't talk to each other often, right now during this crisis, he sent me a picture and said, hope you and the family are doing well. So that's the kind of things you make lifelong friends in boxing.
Yeah. And Joel?
Well, the things that we talk about, those are, like Roberto says, those are behind the scenes stuff that we lived, and we're never going to forget. Those are stories that are going to go with us forever, and we're always going to talk about them because they're always fun. You know, we live them, we enjoy them. And you know, it's just part of our lives. Like Roberto said, we meet people in the sport, and it's a small circle for us. And even if we're not connected on a daily basis, when we see each other, it's always a pleasure seeing each other and talk about the things that we like to do and about our plans. And it's just great just being part of a boxing family. That's what it is. We are a boxing family.
That's what it is. And everybody's jumping in right now. And your brother Antonio, what are you drinking? They didn't see the beginning, so everybody wants to know what we're drinking again. Joel, show the kawama. There it is.
It must be 100 degrees where Joel is right now. Still 105 or something in India.
No, right now it's like 8 o'clock. It's about 110, but it's cool.
And shout out to James Crunch Time Wilkins. He's checking in.
Hey, Crunch Time.
Yeah. That's a kid who should have a movie made about his life eventually. James Crunch Time Wilkins out of the back east. Make sure you guys go follow him, check him out. And the reason I was asking about the family and the memorabilia and all that other stuff is because, Joel, today you posted a picture of your shirt. And it was something interesting. It's a shirt from back in the day. And you found it.
But you know, the thing is, the thing with this, Beto, is talking about it. We talked about it last week, and we're saying that nowadays all these new era fighters are spoiled. You know, even going into a fight, and you watch these kids. They want to have their wardrobe has to be on point. I mean, they gotta have shirts. They gotta have sweatsuits. They gotta have everything. And honestly, those shirts, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was more than 25 shirts that were made. And that was when I fought for the world title in South Africa. And as you can see, I mean, it was just like something very simple. And there were minimum shirts. And actually, this one, my wife has it. My wife kept it, and she wears it once in a while. She don't take it out. And yesterday she took it out. And to me it was fun. I go, you know, this is about the only thing that I have. I mean, besides my belt that Joel has in his room, but that shirt right there is basically the only thing that I have from where I fought for the world title. Like, okay, we're gonna make shirts for you, you know, just to, you know, give out. And I don't think I don't think it was more than 25 shirts that we made. You know, they were very limited, and she still has one. As a matter of fact, she has another one that I made at a swap meet with a airbrush, and she still has it somewhere. You know, and those things are very valuable to me. You know, because like I told you, we never growing up, and Antonio knows this. Uh, I mean, we were never spoiled because our parents couldn't afford it. Most of the shoes that we use, the boxing shoes that we use as amateurs, were given to us by other fighters that were training in the same gym, or you know, we never bought hand wraps. You know, everything was like we were, like our parents couldn't afford, you know, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I was telling Antonio, you remember when you would go to school and everybody had nice shoes? I would go to the yard sales and I would buy shoes for $1. I would come home and with my toothbrush, I would clean them up and make them look new. And the next morning, I would go to school with brand new shoes, even though I bought them for $1. And you know, and that's what I mean about when I posted that picture of that shirt. Is, I mean, honestly, if I look into my pictures, I'll find pictures. But you know, having something that I can say, oh, I had back in the day when I used to fight. You know, I have a pair of shoes that Jimmy Montoya used to make. Jimmy Montoya used to make shoes back in the day, and actually he gave me a pair of shoes, and I fought for the world title with them shoes, and I have them right there. And very limited with my memorabilia from my career. And that shirt, I told my wife, you know what? I don't know if you're gonna use it again, so I'm gonna have to frame that shirt. You know, but hopefully it lasts as long in another 20 years. But you know,
and the guy who made the shirt actually wrote back on your comment on Joel's Instagram,
yeah,
and he said how it was
really,
yeah, how
that's
it's
cool.
One of the few shirts that he remembers making, and it was more about the pride that you bring from the Indio area, the Coachella area, and Inca Print. He wrote back about how that shirt it brings back memories, and that's part of. He goes, I like seeing some of my old shirts. I didn't give them much value at that time, but congrats to everything you do. I'm pumped up to see that on your chest is my friend. That they want to reproduce those shirts.
Wow.
And then maybe add some different words on it. If we can begin to have the Maldita Pobreza on that shirt, you got to bring it, Coach. With the same mustache. It's got to have the same mustache.
I've been having a lot of comments from people, I mean all day long, due to that picture. And I mean, I've had people offer, you know, a lot of people that nowadays they have a screen printing company. Yeah. You know, they've been offering, you know. So, you know, it was to me, it was just, my wife surprised me last night when she came out, and, you know, she did an exercise. She got out of the shower and she just threw on the shirt, and we're in the kitchen with my son, and we look at it, look at the shirt, and it's been years that I didn't see that shirt, but she has the stashes in there. I'm pretty sure that if I tell her to pull out some stashes, she has some more in there, you know.
That's pretty cool. The Maldita Pobreza, because everything is retro. Eventually, it looks good. You have that out there. It's that like as Marco 311 says, yes, the OG Roots of Fight shirt, because that brand Roots of Fight, they do all kinds of stuff. So that's what we're doing today. Just kind of going down memory. Usually I have a theme, and I wanted to go and get to that camaraderie aspect of the sport of boxing, and we're seeing that now that the fights are going to be happening soon. They're going to be in Nevada, June 9th. Top Rank is going to have some shows there. And Roberto, right now I want to give you the chance to speak on behalf of Golden Boy and an update. I know you guys don't have a fight card, but what can you tell the fans of Golden Boy?
Well, it's a good step forward in the right direction. Obviously, with sports coming back, with soccer now in Europe, and now Top Rank starting their fights as early as June in Vegas. It's a step in the right direction. Obviously, we're going to follow pretty soon. We're just getting a couple things in place and waiting for a couple of notifications, but we're not very far behind. We're already, making contacts and stuff. So hopefully we'll be back as early as July.
And as early as July for Golden Boy. And Joel, for you, some of your fighters, have they been contacted? I mean, you're kind of telling guys, hey, maybe there's something lined up for you?
No, actually, they've been calling me.
Oh.
Most of the fighters have been calling me and asking me, hey, what's going on? Because the fighters, if they don't hear from their managers, if they don't hear from their management management. Basically, they do is they call me or they ask me. For example, Marcelino Lopez, he's been training at home. He's got a full workout every day, and he contacted me yesterday. He says, "Hey, coach, any news?" I said, "You know what? Not right now. I know, there's shows in July, but there's one event there's already programmed in July. We don't know. We're just waiting to hear from Golden Boy. Okay, let me know if anything comes up." And then Ruslan as well. He's been asking me, "Hey, coach, any news?" Basically, I mean, they're always asking me constantly, but I know that nothing's for sure, but Tomás Dolorme last week says, "Coach, it's on. I'm fighting July 25th.
Okay.
We don't know where, but it's a done deal." And then some of the people from his management send me a message, says, "Hey, coach, it's on already, confirmed for July 25th. We don't know if it's in Vegas, but it's a done deal."
Oh, there it is. So that's the update for you. So that's the boxing news update. All right. So now, if you guys have questions, we're going to get to you in a little bit. And today's kind of just chilly, little wine, little relax, tranquilo. We're starting to notice that the pandemic, things are starting to open up. Now there's restaurants a little bit, so we can see the turn. So don't drink as much, like I did the first episode with Joel, where I got hammered and I was just done. And the next thing you know, yeah. So today, now we're acting like professionals, or at least I am. But what I'm always curious about this.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? At least I am. What about us?
What about us?
No. I said, wait, what did I say?
You were, hey, Roberto. I was going to say it, but you beat me to it.
Wait, I think I should have.
You said drink responsible, or at least I am. Yeah, be professional. At least I am.
Oh no, wait, you guys are professionals. I said, at least I am now. At least now I'm drinking professionally. I mean, I still felt out. You know what? Whatever. You know what? ¿Sabes qué? I'm not gonna be professional. Salud to everybody.
Salud.
Que se vaya.
You had a pajarete at one point.
I had a pajarete. No tequila today, so I'm gonna go all fancy. I got wine. All right. So here's what I want to do. Because the T-shirt got me going. Memorabilia in boxing is big. What's some of the coolest stuff that you have in your own personal possession? Start with you, Roberto.
One of the items that I have that I treasure the most. I got a few, but I got two items I think that three items that stand out the most. And one of them is a beautiful, beautiful painting that Richard Sloan made for me.
Oh.
For those that don't know who Richard Sloan, he is the artist, the painter for most of the big fights, the fight programs, the paintings for many years. He's from Manchester, a very good friend. And one day he asked me, "Hey, I want to paint something for you." And I said, "Really?" "Yeah, pick anything you want. Pick any fight." So obviously, I picked the Barrera Morales fight. And it's one of one. Wow. Beautiful painting that he made of Barrera and Morales. It's hanging in my living room. It's one of the only pieces of boxing inside the house, and signed by both Barrera and Morales. I carried around one day, and I said, "Hey, I went to dinner with Marco, and then saw Eric, and obviously both signed it." And that's it, hanging in the living room. Wow. The biggest, another one is a pair of trunks that Ricky Hatton had made, backup trunks for his fight against Jose Luis Castillo. He didn't use those because a sponsor. It was right before the fight. It was. There was still question if Lonsdale was going to sponsor him or not. And come fight time, they did sponsor him. So he had one pair of trunks with the Lonsdale logo and one without. Well, I have the ones without. But they're exactly the same. They have Chico sewn into them because it was in memory of Chico Corrales, who had just passed, his Man City emblem for his favorite team. Beautiful, beautiful pair of trunks. They're framed up on the wall in the garage. And the number one possession memorabilia that I have is when Marco Barrera fought Johnny Tapia.
Oh.
If it was a big fight on HBO. I mean, you talk about camaraderie in boxing. They were actually pretty cool with each other. There wasn't a heated rivalry. They respected, they liked each other. Johnny Tapia would always call Marco his brother because Marco Barrera Tapia. No relationship, just coincidence. After the fight, I did not attend that fight because I was having my own battle at home. I was fighting an illness. I was fighting cancer. And Marco, after the fight in the interview with HBO, says, before they get started in the interview, he said, I want to dedicate these gloves to Roberto. Roberto, I just had this fight. I won. These gloves are for you. You have a bigger fight. You're going to win. So I have the gloves and I have the backup trunks framed and everything right there, with pictures of him and Johnny Tapia. And those are treasured because obviously they're the actual fight gloves he wore. And more than that, it was at the time I watched the fight. I remember being at home. I was, obviously in between treatments. The inspiration, the motivation, and what it did for me mentally, more than physically, of course, but the meaning of those gloves go beyond what they were used for a fight.
Roberto, I mean, I've never heard that. You had cancer? How old were you? What was going on?
I was 34. Very young.
What was the deal?
I was feeling sick for quite a while. And went into the hospital one day because after about a week of not eating, not having appetite, feeling like crap, I went in and I worked at the time. I worked in the probation system with inmates. In the probation system, there's hepatitis, there's HIV. It's very common. So when I got to the emergency and I'm throwing up blood, they rushed me into the emergency, do x-rays, and my lungs are full of manchas, full of black spots. And the first thing they thought was TB, which is also very high in the inmate population. And I said, it can't be TB. I mean, tuberculosis, it can't be, man. I got my shot when I was a little kid. It can't be. But obviously that's what the doctors were telling me. So for 3 days, nobody can come in. They do a little shot, where they stick you with the needle. They come back and said, you don't have TB. Okay, then what do I have? And it was pretty freaky because at the time I had a restricted diet. I couldn't eat anything. They had a sign. And then they come in, take off the restriction. You can eat whatever you want. A couple minutes later, a priest comes in and says, do you want to pray, son? So here I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Somebody's not telling me something. Ya me voy a morir. All of a sudden, from not eating, now you can have a steak and anything you want. It's like, wait a minute. And obviously, then the doctor came in and told me, hey, you have cancer and you have it full blown. And we have to start treatment now. I didn't have insurance. I had just left the probation department in California, in San Diego, moved to Sacramento. So I was in between jobs. I didn't have insurance. So I was like, what am I going to do? So it was a stressful situation, obviously, to say the least. But thank God, pulled through. We had a lot of chemo. My hair fell. I lost a lot of weight. I went from weighing 200 pounds, which was my normal weight, to about 130. So from heavyweight to super featherweight, that was a huge drop. Lost all my hair, everything. I had to move. I actually moved from San Diego to Sacramento because I didn't want to see anybody. I wanted to be in a place where nobody knew me, nobody, because you started feeling like there was up and down mood swings. But it taught me a lot. And boxing has taught me a lot because every day is like another round. You might have a bad day, you might fall. You got to get up and fight and keep fighting. Don't look back, only look forward. I learned a lot from boxers and how they get through. And obviously that day when Marco dedicated the gloves helped a lot. And obviously family and support.
What kind of cancer did you have?
I had stage 3, and it was full blown. So
stage 3, like lung, stomach.
So it had traveled, abdomen, lungs. It was full blown. Now, I had higher level. The next step was going to be the brain. Luckily, I was very, very, very lucky that it didn't hit the brain, because with that in the brain, there's no chemo. They could try radiation, but most of the time it's surgery. So I was just very fortunate that it didn't hit, that was the next step. But the doctor did tell me, it has at least 2 years growing in you.
Oh my
Didn't you have signs?
god.
And I always thought I had signs, but at the time you're young. I didn't listen to the signs. I mean, it's not normal to be throwing up blood all the time. And I thought I gotta slow down on the salsas and the drinking and here and there because I probably got a mean ulcer. So what did I learn? I tell everybody now, hey, go to the doctor. If something's not normal, go get checked out.
I mean,
You shocked, Beto?
yeah. Joel, did you know this?
No.
Like, it's I mean, we have fun on this podcast, but you're opening up and telling everybody your story, and it started because you were so nonchalant about it. You're like, yeah, Marco, I'm going through. You said I'm going through a rough time. I thought you had the flu because you said I'm at home, right? But and I know we don't want to get too deep into your family and what was going on, but you're watching that fight, recovering at that stage where Marco's fighting. Were you part of his camp then, or were you helping him out that time?
Yes. I was already with Johnny Tapia. I had already been to a few of his fights.
Okay.
I mean,
so you were part of the team.
Yeah, I was part of the team, and it was the only fight during the period I was with him that I didn't make it because of obviously I was back in treatment.
So when you're home and you see him before he does the interview with Larry Merchant,
I didn't know anything about it. Obviously, I had no idea. I had talked to him a couple of days, maybe before or after the weigh-in. Hey, good luck. Hey, how are you? I'm doing good. Back and forth. And then I'm watching the fight. He wins the fight. They go to the interview, and it's something that obviously at the moment it was I got very emotional, and it's something I treasure because he took the time at that moment to, before I want my victory and this and that, and he dedicated the fight, the gloves, and it got emotional. It was very emotional for me at that moment because I'm at home. They called me later. Hey, did you hear it? Hey, I got the gloves. I te los mando and this and that. So it was really cool. They're framed, big, beautiful frame with the trunks and the gloves and pictures.
And that moment. So when you hear him, you're at home and you hear him say that. You're probably going through so many different emotions, but that's part of what boxing does and what sports does. It takes you away from whatever you're going through. Right now you're going through a pandemic and you're going through something else. And you've seen this where athletes go to make the Make-A-Wish Foundation where the kids, I want to go and meet him. Like Kobe would do that a lot. You do that all the time. It's that one little appreciation. And that's kind of why in the sport of boxing, you guys will give you everything they have for the fans. And I think everybody complains about how come this fight's not made or this and that. But at the end of the day, Joel, some of these fighters are the nicest people in the world. And something like that, like Roberto sharing with us, can make such a huge difference right now. You see them in a different light, don't you?
Right. Exactly. Because, I mean, everybody puts in their work. And the majority of the people around, they just turn on the TV and they watch only what happens on TV, but they don't see the things that happen around making it there, It's a lot. I mean, I can imagine Roberto, going through the moment because at one time my mom had cancer and it's tough. We've all been to situations where I mean, sad moments. I can tell you this: I fought for the world title. Beto, and after I came back from that world title from Africa, I mean, a fight later, I fight for a title elimination to fight Stevie Johnson for the WBC, and the doctor says you can't fight no more. So what happens from there on is like, okay, I didn't want to tell nobody. I didn't tell anybody at ringside. I could have said something about my eye getting out of the ring, and maybe insurance could have covered it. At that time, I wasn't in that position. So I went to Riverside to one of those low-income hospitals to get a surgery on my eye, and I got surgery. After the surgery, Beto, honestly, I can tell you, and I don't feel bad about it. I did construction most of my life. I did construction. I did framing. I did tile. I did sheet metal. I did all kinds of stuff. And I remember at that time when I got surgery in my eye, barely recovering, I was doing tile on my own to some people. And honestly, I remember, and I still remember nowadays, at one point, I needed the money so bad that I charged $400 to do tile on a house. Like, you're talking about kitchen, living room, and a hallway. $400. It took me about four or 5 days, a whole week, for $400, and it was bad, you know. And just losing my eye was one of the things that really affected me the most. But I happened to manage through it, and then I try to get back. And when I started, doing a little better, I got a job. I was doing sheet metal for a year. I did sheet metal work for 16 years, going through insurances. When I went back to the doctor, like, okay, there's not much we can do for your eye, so I lost my eye. And then after that, it was just a tough situation going through. I'll tell you guys a story, and this is a reality story that is gonna be on, and I'll never forget about it. Dean Lojas, who was the commissioner back in the day. You remember Dean Lojas, Roberto?
He's with the WBC now.
Well,
he used to be the head of commission where Andy Foster is now. It was Dean Lojas. And
the California Commission.
Yeah.
So he's one of the head big shots.
A very smart guy.
And he an encyclopedia. I mean, the guy knew everybody's record. He knew everybody's fighting style. He would approve fights that today you would say, how is that approved? Maybe a 20-0 against a 10-7. But he knew that 10-7 was a tough son of a gun and wasn't overmatched.
Yeah. Well, at one point, going into a fight myself, I mean, not one of my fights, I'm going to an event. He approaches me because, we had a good relationship. And he approaches me and he's laughing and he tells me, hey, Mr. One Round Short. And I'm like, what's going on? He says, you know that, every fighter has a pension, as a boxer. When you retire from boxing, you have a pension and you get so much money per round. Oh, yeah, really? He says, and you're short 1 round. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He says, you're short 1 round. I said, come on, Dean, for 1 round? He says, yeah, for 1 round, you don't qualify for your pension.
And you don't have to finish that 1 round.
I know.
As long as you're scheduled and you go into that first round, if you get knocked out or the fight stopped at 10 seconds, Joel would have qualified for a pension. All he had to do was fight for, say, 40 rounds in the state of California. And he was 1 round short. Otherwise, he would have qualified.
And that pension is for what? It's a money you'll get.
A retirement monthly check,
a monthly check.
Okay, I never heard of boxers having a pension. Okay,
so and then it became a thing that every time I run into Dean Lojas, he would tell me, "Hey, Mr. 1 Round Short," and I would tell him, and it started bothering me. And one day I told him, "Hey, Dean,
wait, hold on, Joe. He was like mocking you?"
Yeah, he was always being sarcastic. Hey, Mr. 1 Round Short, every time he no longer called me by my name or not. And then he would like, hey, Mr. 1 Round Short, and I would tell him, hey, Dean, let me fight. I'll fight one more fight. Herbie Estrada, a really good friend of mine, at one point he sort of got bothered and told Dean Lojas, hey, Dean, hey, I'll fight him. Approve me and I'll fight him so he can get his round. Oh no, he can't, because he knew that my eye was damaged. So me going into the ring, I need medicals. And he knows that
he couldn't pass the medical.
I would never. Okay.
So I would, because he knew my situation.
That's fucked up.
Okay, so it went on for years, and I would tell him, "Hey, Dean, I fought in California under this Indian reservation when they were barely building the casino. It was 29 Casino or Fantasy Springs Casino. Oh well, you gotta show proofs." And like, I'll try, but to me, it was very interesting looking into getting that 1 round to get my pension because according to you, if you retire due to an injury, it's considered a handicap, or you can start getting your pension back. I mean, I've had somebody tell me, man, if you would fight it and take it and you win, they'll give you like a lump sum, because that was in 1997, really. So I kept asking Dean Lojas, hey, Dean,
hold on, real quick. Could he have just written it off?
Yeah, he could have done something to help me out if he would have wanted to, But he would always make, so it went on for years. And then at one point, I took one fighter, Guillermo Ruiz, to a Thompson event. Back then, you would show up to the weigh-ins with your paperwork, medicals, blood work, hepatitis, and whatever, right? So I will never forget that he always kept telling me, hey, Mr. 1 Round Short, Mr. 1. So, okay, I lived with it forever, no problem. And then we go to the weigh-ins, turn in my paperwork. My fighter The opponent, the next day in the fight, everything was great. Referee Joe Corona was refereeing that fight that night. I remember after the fight, he was full of blood. Corona was full of blood.
Oh, I remember that fight. I
Yeah.
had something to do with the fight.
Yeah. So yeah, it was the guy
Mao de la Rosa.
Mao de la Rosa, the guy that brought the guy that beat Tomás
Yes.
Barragán.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. So then a week later, 2 weeks later, they called me to notify me that the fighter that Mao de la Rosa brought in was HIV positive.
Oh.
And wow, because when he turned in his paperwork, they checked it and it says non-reactive for HIV. So they just non-reactive. So when those papers got to Sacramento and they say, hey, what's going on here? On the HIV test, says non-reactive. Let's have this kid go back and do the test again. And on the test, he tested positive for HIV. So actually, that was my fighter's last fight. He got scared.
Oh wow!
Fight again. He retired. His mom was very scared. His parents were very scared. So honestly, the only one that benefited off of that fight was Joe Corona, because he sued the commission. He got some money, and they tried to tell me, hey, you know what, sue the commission. But we don't want to go into those terms. But and then a year after, when Dean Lojas got fired.
Because of that?
Because he was telling me, hey, can you write a letter and say help me out? I said, oh yeah, now you need help, right? At first, for many years, you were telling me, hey, Mr. One Round Short, and now you need my help. I'm sorry, man. So I never seen him again. But I'm telling you, karma is tough.
Wow.
And to add to that story, so I get a call from Alex Camponovo. Hey, I'm looking for a guy 4 rounds against Guillermo Ruiz. Guillermo Ruiz was your fighter?
Guillermo Ruiz, yeah.
Guillermo Ruiz. And I need a fighter, 4 rounds, such date. So I had this trainer in Vegas that I worked with, trained a couple of my fighters.
That was when you were a manager. You were a manager then.
Correct.
Okay.
And I said, hey, Mao, do you have somebody to fight this kid? He goes, yeah, I got a pro debut. He's 18 years old. I said, any good? Oh, he's a tough little guy, from Mexico. I think he was from Oaxaca. And I said, all right, let's put him in. So we send him, do all his medicals. They fight. I'm not even at the fight. I hear about the fight. I get called like a couple days later after the fight and said, hey, Mr. Diaz, we have a problem. I said, what happened? This kid, check this out. Before the test, he said he didn't, in all his medicals, he didn't do one exam. How could that be? How could that have slipped? I don't know. It slipped him at the weigh-in. He went, but I guess they didn't see him. They booked him. They told him to come back. He didn't go back. I don't know what the story was. Okay, let's send him. It was a neuro exam. Hopefully everything's good. The kid had lost, but hopefully, he passed. So he goes and does the neuro exam. They turn it in, everything's fine. Alex calls me a couple days later or the next day and says, Mr. Diaz, hey, this kid tested positive for HIV. And I said, what? How could that have gone through the weigh-in again?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, wait a minute. First he didn't do the neuro, now there's a positive test. Now, it's impossible. I said, this kid's 18 years old. Now, in my experience, I had already had a couple of my fighters test positive for different things. I think we mentioned that before, and they were false positives. So I said, don't worry about it. I'll send them again. I sent them. He tested positive. So then the state sends you to like a specialty testing. And the kid's asking, how come I keep getting my blood drawn? What's going on? Nobody's telling him.
Oh.
So he goes to the secondary specialist program to get tested. And then they call us and they called me and told me, we cannot tell you the results. We need to speak to him. So I put him on the line and have to be on the line with him when they break the news. Yes, you are HIV positive. Oh, 18 years old. 18 years old, and to hear that. So it was tough. And then at that time, what I heard is he went back to Mexico.
Wow.
And there was cuts. There was cuts. You're right. There was cuts. So that's what worried. But I think the cut fighter was Ruiz, right?
Yeah, all the blood was from Reese. He had a bloody nose and he had a little cut due to a headbutt. But yeah, Ray Corona was full of blood and he freaked out. So he did sue the commission, made some money, and we talk about it with Ray when I see him once in a while.
Wow. This show's taking a different kind of turn. You never know what you're gonna hear when you listen to ThursDIAZ and the angles of where you're gonna go. And like I said, today was just I want to talk about memorabilia. That's why people love tuning into the show. It continues to grow and everything else. Like right now, you know what? Let's take a breath. We've heard a lot of deep stuff tonight. Everybody's good. Pour yourself a drink. I know Roberto, you out of wine.
We're good because we lived it, and
Yeah.
I mean it only makes us stronger. It only makes us stronger. Honestly, we have not seen it all, and there's a lot more to see. Roberto's gonna go through a lot more new things in the sport. I think boxing is a sport that you see new things every day. You never finish seeing new things in the sport, and those are stories that we go through on a daily basis. There's many, many, many stories, and as I say it sometimes, there's gonna be a time where I'll probably be sitting in a rocking chair telling my grandkids all these stories, and they're great stories. Those are part of our life that we go through based on our job.
Yeah, it was.
One of the people that I used to sit with and could sit for hours and listen to the stories of everything he went through. Because you got to understand, when I got into matchmaking, I knew Jimmy Montoya. He gave me a couple tips here and there. Everybody I had met that had match made at a certain age had a heart attack.
Come on.
So had a heart attack. Jimmy Montoya had one. Don Chargan had one. A lot of the matchmakers had heart attack because of the stress involved in matchmaking. So it's one of those jobs that it was like, okay, it's a dream come true. But what do I have looking forward to? I don't want to have a fucking heart attack and die at an early age. So is this really what I want to do, right? But one of the men that I would sit down and listen to and say, no way, that happened to you? Okay, because you think whatever you go through, it's a unique situation. Only you went through it. But when you hear somebody else tell you a story similar or worse or exactly the same, you're thinking, okay, but you got through it. Okay, so you get that. Okay, so it could be done. It's part of the job, and so you learn and grow with it. Don Chargan, I used to be able to sit with Don Chargan and hear his stories. One time, and one of my biggest paranoia after he told me this was he shows up for a Telefutura show in Texas, I believe. They're getting ready to start the show. It's on TV, and people start asking, you got the gloves? Pass the gloves. Where's the gloves? Who has the gloves? Nobody has gloves. You have the arena full. You have the fighters there. You have everything, but no gloves.
Razo!
So it's like, oh my God. Don.
Cuñado! Where are the gloves?
Exactly. So, Don, what did you do? They were in El Paso. So he said, I sent guys to Juarez to go buy gloves.
No!
But you got to go to Juarez, buy the gloves, cross the line, get back to the venue. From what I remember, they were like 2 hours late. And this is TV. You can't be late. I mean,
No.
So when he told me that, I had nightmares of showing up to shows and the same thing happening. And where are the gloves? So what did I do? Most of the time when I traveled, I wouldn't take, and I overstocked. I mean, even to this day, how many fights there's 5 fights. Okay, I want 20 pairs of gloves because a veces this one's ripped or this one doesn't feel good. So I overpack because that's the thing that I never want to happen. Imagine showing up and you forget the gloves. That's almost as bad as thinking you have 8,010.
Roberto, boy, it happened to us. I mean, us in Chihuahua. Remember? But you guys had you guys' gloves. for you guys as fighters.
Wait, hold on.
But
Oh, in the show. Yeah. You're right.
Eric,
You're right.
Eric
So,
P. Eric Peñareta writes in right now. Chihuahua all over again. So what happened in Chihuahua?
Yeah.
In
So
Chihuahua,
in Chihuahua, we did a show with a local promoter, but we only had like Oscar Duarte and Luis
Francisco
Hernandez
Vargas.
on the card. And
Francisco
Francisco Vargas.
Yeah.
So we pack our gloves for our fights. Now, local promoters do their fights, and they schedule and they match make, and then we do a show together. When we get there, first of all, I get there 2 hours before the show, preparing everything, getting our fighters. But I'm missing a bunch of fighters from the early, like the undercard. I'm calling the promoter. Hey, where are you? Oh, I'm on my way. Hey, your guys aren't here. Who do you have coordinating? Oh, he'll be there. By the time they got there, we're 5 minutes away from start. And there's a little circle right before the entrance. And I'm like, who's passing out your gloves? What gloves? Your fighters' gloves. Oh, you guys are supposed to bring them. Oh, I said, I'm coming from the States. How am I bringing gloves for all your fights? Oh, nobody told me I had to provide gloves.
Oh.
Now, obviously, because of the experience, it's like, okay, start using gloves and taking them off and putting them onto the next one, but always have 2 fights ready. And people are going to be using used gloves. You know, the second fight is going to, or the third fight's going to use the ones from the first fight. The fourth fight's going to use. So you're rotating. And you tell your guys helping collect gloves, make sure they don't cut the gloves, because then you have a problem. Make sure they take them off, the laces, take them off, lace them right, and send them right back to the dressing room so somebody else can put them on.
Razo!
Roberto. And then in the main event, the power goes out in the
Come
second
on.
round.
Yeah.
The main event starts. It was on Facebook. It was Oscar Duarte. First round. I think it was before the first round, or in the middle of the second round, the entire power goes off in the building.
Oh my God! I just wanted to sink, and that day I went trágame tierra. Luckily, it was only during that minute break. Yeah. The generator kicked in. And then, boom, the power went back on, and we didn't have another one. But it was like, oh, my God. So, in boxing, expect the unexpected. That's just key. Expect the unexpected.
It's
a fighter. I've heard a story. It didn't happen to us. It happened to another promoter here in L.A. The day of the fight, the fighter had made weight. On the way to the arena, did a little desviación to go buy something illegal, and was arrested before he got to the arena.
No!
Never made it to the arena. Yeah. So, expect the unexpected.
Well, it happened to the Ryan Garcia fight. He was supposed to fight Avery Sparrow.
Avery Sparrow, that was a little bit of a mishap because he had a warrant or he had some issues back home.
At the end of the, I mean, you're there for a weigh-in, and it's like, what the hell's going on? Like, it's, I mean... Yeah, you expect the unexpected, but I can say that's the first time ever where I've been somewhere where a fighter got arrested for a warrant. Like, you used to that. You know,
he had already been cleared by the judge, by the DA, by everything. Yes, go ahead and fight. But it was local marshals that said, no, we're going to go arrest them. Yeah, and they really messed them up.
You're right. Expect the unexpected. In any other sport, there's laws, there's rules. It's all taken care of. And boxing,
Well, in other sports, remember there's team sports. So
yeah, exactly.
If the catcher, for whatever reason, went out and partied last night and got arrested or didn't make, they have a backup. Yeah. Somebody else is on the bench ready to fill in. Mm. In boxing, you got to go find that replacement right away.
Look, Roberto, I had a kid by the name of Manuel Zavala, and he was supposed to fight on one of those events they do for the ESPYs.
Oh, yeah.
Out in LA.
Oh, they do it at the Playboy Mansion, no?
Yeah, no, but that wasn't at the Playboy Mansion. It was, it was at a convention center one. So we get there, and the fight start. I think it was ESPN, and my fighter was supposed to be like it was like a swing bout. So dressing rooms were, basically just curtains. You know, the opponents were across from the hallway from us. So we're walking around and we're waiting around, and I tell Manny, they come in and say, hey, you guys glove up because you guys can walk in any time, depending on the next fight. So all of a sudden, I get Manuel Zavala, I get him ready. So start shadowboxing, just a little bit of warm up and stuff. And as he looks out of the curtain across the hallway, his opponent is standing by the hallway. So he gets a seizure.
What?
So that kid drops on the hallway, and he's just like shaking, and he starts foaming from his mouth. So Manuel, he was in the army. So then he told, hey, turn him sideways. Don't put him up, face up. So he's aiding his opponent. Okay, so then they call the paramedics, and everything becomes okay. Take off his gloves. So all of a sudden he looks at me and goes, so am I not fighting anymore? Yeah, dude, are you serious? He looks at me and he tells me, so I'm not fighting anymore.
Coach, I try to help him para que se componga.
Yeah.
I gave him CPR so he can fight.
Yeah. He was helping him because the guy was,
Yeah, he's having a seizure.
Wow. And then when they pick him up and they take him away, and he tells me, Coach, so I'm not fighting anymore?
They don't have anyone in the back.
Let me see. Let me go find the coach, the champs back there. So then, and I said, okay, Manuel. So, okay, well, we have no business here. Let's go. So he gets dressed, and I'm looking for the promoter. I tell him, you know what? Are you gonna help this kid with something? So they give him some money. As we're walking out, that's one of the times that I sort of got the chills just of what happened, because as we're walking out of the venue, the fight's still going on, but since we had no more business there, we just, hey, let's go. So we will be home early. And we're going up the stairs, and as we get to the end of the building, he stops and he's looking to the sky. He's looking to the sky and he stops. And then I go, hey, Manuel, let's go. So we can get home early. And then he stops and he starts crying. And he says, Coach, a year ago my mom died. And I go, well, she's looking straight down at you, bro. Let's go. That's why you didn't fight. She's looking straight down at you. That's why you didn't fight. And as we're walking down the stairs, he gets a call. His wife's giving birth. She's in the hospital. Like that. Boom, boom. 3 things back to back. Like, oh man, I'm getting the chills. And we'll get in my truck and we drive all the way to Indio and drop him off at the hospital where his wife was giving birth.
Only in boxing. This is why ThursDIAZ is so good, because you hear so many different stories, so many different angles. As Paulo says, expect the unexpected. It is, and and it's, you two are in your 40s, right? You're still young guys. Every time you go somewhere.
Sorry, thank you. I love you, Beto, but I wish.
You're not.
I'm 47. Roberto's 48.
Thank you, and I love you too.
Okay.
51 with a bullet.
Okay,
like
well,
with a bullet.
Okay. Hey, well, don't worry. Your Mexican passport, you're 44 right now. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But you're young guys, and it's everywhere you. But like, it's like, seems like every single time you go somewhere, it's like, really, this is happening, and it's we laugh about it now. That's why ThursDIAZ is so good, and the people, like, right now it's a plática. People are drinking along with us, hanging out. They're sharing it. I see the people going back and forth, and it's like, that's why I love doing this, because it's not the, oh, hey, let's go. Who's gonna fight this guy? If in this decade, who will fight the other? It's the stories, the maldita pobreza stories, which is why I love watching the fights at 3:00. Even if I'm not working, I love being in there out of respect, because one, they give each other madrazos. These guys go after it, no matter what. Like the guys that come from Mexico that are 7 and 12, but then they're gonna go work as a police officer in Juarez the following day. Now I have this question though, because I never asked it. When these guys come, Roberto, as an opponent, whether from Mexico or the South or wherever they're at, they show up without anybody, right? They
Sometimes. I mean,
not all the time, but I mean, those guys.
4-rounder,
yeah,
6-rounder. Most of the time, they'll even tell me, "Hey, can you pay me more if I don't bring a corner?"
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how's that work?
And I'll hire somebody over there, and because it's, you know what, to them, if you can save, they'll tell the promoter, look, if you can save $500, give me the 500. And if I don't take 2 people, that's 1,000 more to me. I'd rather do that, and I'll pay somebody over there. So
that's how that works. The reason I bring that up is because I see Cuñado leaving comments. I see Alahir leaving comments. And one time I looked in the corner. I think we were at Nokia.
Cuñado and Aldair are giving them water and giving them instructions.
And Joel Jr. are in the corner. And their guy is going to work. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I know how it works, but how does that work? So a guy tells you, like, hey, I'm not going to bring a corner and I'll just pick people up. I know they pick up, like, cutman, but an entire corner?
Or sometimes for whatever reason, one of the cornermen pull out. He's sick, paperwork, documents, whatever. So they ask, hey, I've gone to Joel several times. Hey, Joel, can you wrap this guy's hands? He didn't bring anybody that even knows how to wrap. All of a sudden, he brought his girlfriend or he brought his wife, and that's who he used the ticket for. I mean, when we ask him, send us the names, we're expecting him to send us his team. But sometimes these fighters travel with the girlfriend or travel with the wife. And, it's not rare that I'll say, Joel, can you help me in the corner with him? And, Marcos Caballeros. Next thing you know, is like, hey, Marcos, you're in every corner now. What's going on here? You're always against me, or what's going on? But it's also, you don't just put them in with people that are gonna not take care of them. Okay. You want to make sure that you got people that know what they're doing, are gonna help. If Cuñado's there to help them con el agua en la esquina, con the bucket or something, the towel, exactly. But you also have somebody that's ahead that'll know from experience if he's getting hurt or if he's in trouble, or give him the right directions to get him out of it.
Yeah, it's respect to those guys. It's you need them. You need them.
One time, Junior comes and tells me, I guess he worked the fight at Velasco, and when he comes back home, he tells me, hey, guess what? I helped this kid in the corner at the Velasco, and I almost made him win because he was listening to me. He says, this kid was an opponent. I don't know where he was from. He goes, and I was telling him, and he was listening to me. I almost made him win. Imagine
it's a good experience. Win, it's a good experience for everybody that's in boxing. Look, Razo worked. Here's one for trivia. If he's listening.
Oh, he's here. Razo, Golden Boy matchmaker.
Razo worked Oscar de la Hoya's corner.
Come on. Really?
Razo worked Oscar's corner. I was like, dude, I haven't done that. That's awesome.
A real fight?
Seriously?
I think Oscar did an exhibition with Shaq in Vegas, and that's when Razo worked his corner.
Damn, Razo.
So Razo has one on me. Razo has one. But it is something different. Look, one time I was in the UK, Matthew Hatton was going to fight for, it was for a world title, I believe, one of the smaller belts, but it was a title. It was a big fight. I think it was against Lovemore Nodu.
Okay.
And I'm there as a friend to support, to be in that dressing room. Come on, Matt, you can do this. And I think it was the day of the weigh-in or something. And he says, hey, I want you to work the corner. And I'm like, I wasn't going to tell him like what or do it, whatever. It was an honor that he would even consider me. Somebody that's not in the gym with him all the time. And I was, And I stayed quiet. I gave respect in the position to the trainer. But every once in a while, I throw a little motivation here and there. But it was a fight he actually won, but they gave it a draw. But it was good to be a part. Look, in boxing, there's so many different positions that if you can learn from A to Z and do a little bit of all, that way you can, teach or say, look, this is how it's done. I've taken down the rings. I've dressed rings. I've done, held the bucket or, stuff like that. And it's fun because you see the different parts of what people go through.
Yeah, I just want to wave the flag. That's it. I just want to wave the flag. Once I know my broadcasting career is done, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wave the flag. I don't care what it is because there was a guy like the WBA had, right? He had that big mustache and he would just wave all the flags everywhere.
El Güero.
Yeah.
El Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flagman. He was known. He was one of the original ones. He
He's a
worked.
good
He
guy.
was with Top Rank.
Yeah.
We used to call him Yosemite Sam before I
Yes.
met him. He's from Chicago. Good guy. He is a good guy. He loves the sport, and he'd be there with his Mexican flag and get in that corner and wave the flag.
Characters, almost all kinds of. Then you have the Fermin de Calaca who was coming for a while.
I spoke to him today. I coincidentally was at a shop today with a good friend, George Madrigal, and he was talking to him. And he goes, "Oh, look, Benji, Roberto's here," and said hello. He does painting. He's
he's an
actual artist and stuff.
Roberto,
So,
have you ever seen him without the mask?
yes.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. El Calaca is El Calaca.
His dad is a DJ. I think a very famous DJ. And I think he learned a little bit of DJing, but he's more of an artist. He designed his whole outfit, the fingers, the mask, everything. He's very, very good.
And
you see him, and you would never think, oh, wait a minute, that's the Mexican Calaca.
And Roberto, remember, Sulem Urbina wants to remind you that you are a ring card boy, too. Don't forget, you are a ring card boy.
I was a ring card boy before there was sponsors and the good-looking girls. Yeah, exactly.
This Fermin, I met him in Cancun a long time ago. We became good friends. I've been to Querétaro. He's been over there with me. I mean, when he came up to me, like, well, who's this guy? And he tells me, I mean, he oftenly calls me. I mean, he is a very good artist.
Speaks perfect English, right?
Fermin Lacalaca on Instagram.
Yeah, perfect English. He's a very athletic guy. He calls me and he asks me for advice sometimes. And he's the type of guy that, he'll be doing art at night and 4 a.m. he's working out. He has a schedule. He's one of the type of guys that he organizes his agenda through the day. Very smart kid, very respectful, very smart. Yeah. And you should see his paintings. Yeah. Did you see the painting he did for Pepe Gomez?
I saw the little muñequito. I don't know if he had anything to do with it. The little statue.
No, he did a nice painting with Pepe Gomez. You see his Calaca mask and the eyes, how they
light up.
Yeah. The little red. Yeah.
He did everything on his outfit. Everything. He designed it. He did it. It took him, hours and hours to do that. The Calaca, the face mask.
That's pretty cool.
See, and that's part of what we were talking about earlier. How you meet all these different personalities from all walks of life. I mean, Mike Rodriguez,
the cut man.
He's a cut man, boxing because he loves boxing, but his day job, he's a detective.
Yeah, he's the LA County Sheriff's detective instructor. He's the one who teaches the detectives how to be a detective. So whenever there's a real crime, Mike Rodriguez is the one at the scene. Like, he's the one that the detectives call him. It's like, man, Mike, it's like, that guy's crazy. Cool, but there's so many characters.
That's the really cool thing. I mean, you have some that Don King did a stunt and did some time in prison, and became one of the greatest promoters in boxing. So you come from all kinds of different walks of life. I mean,
in boxing,
it's only in boxing.
Only in boxing. All right, we were an hour in. Saludos to everybody. I got some wine. The wine's good. How's the Kawama, Joel? Is it good? Gone? See? Toño didn't bring you anything. Toño's at home with the ice melting. He didn't even drop one out to you.
I don't know about Toño. Toño was really down today. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? It's true. Toño hasn't made any kind of comments today. He's been real quiet on the comment section. So
está regañado, lo regañó su mujer hoy.
I'm not involved. All right.
When Toño's real quiet, it's because his wife will take cortito and he can't say that right now. Está castigado. He's probably in a corner with his head right there in between two walls.
Let me look at my Instagram. Usually he tags me. He didn't tag me today.
I'm telling you.
And because we're live, I can't edit that out. So Toño, now he says salud. All right. So right now, if you guys have any kind of questions, good ones, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. We'll start answering some of your questions. We're at it, okay? Toño says, hell no me regañaron, I'm okay. So there it is. Adahir, he's got a chicken in the oven. That's what it is. He's got a chicken in the oven.
Oh my God! Here we go.
The chicken in the oven story last week.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about this? Yesterday I'm at the gym and my wife made chicken yesterday in the oven, and then my son, he opens the oven and he does a story and he goes, "My dad's not fighting anybody today because there's chicken in the oven." and then and then she texts me and tells me, she goes, "Please tell Toño not to keep you at the gym too long because there's chicken in the oven."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, really?" Now my son and then her. Like, oh,
That's it.
you know what
And
I mean?
if you don't know what we're talking about, go and listen to last week's episode of ThursDIAZ where Joel talks about having the chance to beat somebody up, but he said, nah, because the chicken's at home and the chicken was better than knocking somebody
hungry.
out. You're hungry. You know, you've been at the gym all day working mitts. So there it is. And if you also want to, make sure you go to my YouTube page, Beto Duran, and there's a playlist that says ThursDIAZ, and that has the full episodes. And also there's ThursDIAZ Stories, which is a small little clips where I'll take like a minute or two and I'll put them on there. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that you guys want to check out. And since nobody's leaving any kind of questions, we're just going to keep on rolling for a couple more minutes because I got one more glass to go, and then we're going. And crunch time is still going right now. Roberto, let me ask you this. Back to the memorabilia stuff. And it's pretty cool. I saw that you posted, it was you or your son, I don't know, but you got Ali GOAT on your license plate, right?
That was Roberto's car.
Oh, it's Roberto's car.
Yeah, the Porsche.
That wasn't taken, and why did you get that?
So I made a mistake actually. So check this out. My idol is Muhammad Ali. I loved Muhammad Ali. What he did in the ring for a heavyweight at the time, and if you look back today, he's doing what fighters are doing today. He did it 50 years ago, or 40 years ago, 50, 40 years ago. He was very outspoken. He was rhyming. But he was also, I think I read one time where he was the most recognized face all over the world, even more than the Pope. But he was going to countries and preaching peace. And he was a very well-spoken individual. So when I got a Corvette, it was a fast car. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get my plates something to do with Ali. So I put GOAT Ali. I checked in the computer. It was available. Greatest of all time, Ali. I register them. I get them. I put them on. And then I see like the Ali Instagram social media page. It's not GOAT Ali. It's Ali GOAT. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I did them wrong. You know what? Let me check if Ali GOAT is available. And I check, and it is. So I register them. And when I get the new plates, I'm going to turn in the old plates. And Bobby says, wait, don't turn those in. I'll take those for my Jeep. So he has GOAT Ali. I have Ali GOAT. And I have, obviously, the frame. I had them custom made. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And I am the greatest of all time. So
that's cool.
That's part of what the plates are.
That's the reason you have that. All right.
Roberto, I didn't know much about Muhammad Ali until I went to remember the WBC welterweight tournament in Kentucky?
Yes.
I was there. I was part of that welterweight tournament for the WBC. And there's the museum there. The Museum of Muhammad Ali.
I think his house. I think it's one of his first houses.
Yeah, in Louisville, right?
Grew up.
Yeah, in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what? I went in that place and I learned so much about Muhammad Ali in just the time I was there. I mean, everybody talks about how he wanted to go into restaurants and then let him in after he came back with a gold medal from the Olympics, and he was still not allowed to go into public restaurants and stuff. Mm-hmm. So what he did, he got the gold medal and he threw it in the river. That to me was very interesting. That said, okay, well, I represented my country in the Olympics and I won a gold medal, and they still don't treat me like I deserve. I can't even go to a restaurant or walk into a place because of my color. So he grabs his gold medal and he throws it in the river. And to me, that was really interesting.
He stood he stood up for a lot. I mean, he stood up for what he believed. I mean, the whole controversy of not going to the war. A lot of people at the time felt like, hey, well, you're not a patriot, and you're not. He stood for what he believed. You know what? And he sacrificed probably his prime years during that time that he was banned from boxing, yet still came back and won titles. I mean, the man was. He's a legend. He was back when the heavyweights were smaller, 200 pounds, but he floated. He floated. It was beautiful to see him. I mean, watch some fights on YouTube.
Yeah.
When he fought George Foreman, Foreman was a beast. He was a killer. Sonny Liston was a killer. Nobody wanted to fight these guys, but he played the mind games before there was really mind games going on. He taught a lot of fighters through the generations to become who they are, or who they became.
Yeah, Roberto, question for the Green Eye Band. You ever go to his training camp in Pennsylvania?
No. I one of the biggest regrets of my life was having not met him. I mean, I would have loved to have met him. Just a picture with him. That's why the picture with Angelo Dundee is so important to me, because not only was he the trainer of Muhammad Ali, but he was a trainer of Sugar Ray Leonard, another one of my heroes and a big fan of his. But I was never able to meet Ali. And no, I haven't been to his training camp.
Yeah.
I would love to go out there where they would do the camps out. I forget the name of the place, but it has a
Deer Lake training camp in Pennsylvania.
There's rocks with the names of the fights and stuff like that, and the sparring sessions were open to public and everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like a few years ago, before he passed, he was actually at Angel Spring Training, and some of the players talked about how Vernon Wells, we actually had him on the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast the other day, and he said he met him, and he was like a aura comes in, and it's like few people have that, and it's like I was never around where Muhammad Ali was at, but I used to work with Curtis Conway, who married Layla Ali, and I would always ask him. So I was like, Curtis, football player. I'm like, dude, your father-in-law is freaking Muhammad Ali. He's like, you know what? When I met him, he just said, hey, nice to meet you, young man. And I'm like, he said that he told himself, like, I'm marrying Layla Ali's dad is Muhammad Ali. Like, it's crazy like that. He's like, I'm just like wandering around. He goes, the nicest man. He goes, but obviously because of the Parkinson's, everything else. He goes, but anywhere you went, there was just so many people that would swarm him. It was
all over the world, I mean, there's a story. Somebody was ready to jump off, commit suicide, and Muhammad Ali went up and talked the guy down from killing himself, from jumping. I mean, there's just like that. It's just. He wasn't just a figure in boxing. He was bigger than life.
He was worldwide.
That's how I see him. He was worldwide. Anywhere he went, when he did that running. There's I think on one of his documentaries where he's running through the Zaire, and all the little kids and everybody's running with him. It's almost like maybe Rocky took that and did it for the movie for Philadelphia. They probably saw that and said, let's turn that part into Rocky running down Philadelphia and everybody joining him. But that was the real Ali.
Yeah, and the other day was that famous picture of him knocking out Sonny Liston that Neil Leifer took it for Sports Illustrated. And that fight was one of the greatest, that picture is one of the greatest pictures ever taken. Not just sports, just ever. But that fight was in Maine. Like, Lewiston, Maine.
That's what I want on the hood. That's what I want on the hood. I don't know how to say, but it's not painted. I don't want it painted. It's like
a wrap.
Not a wrap. It gets like dented into the hood, but
really,
like the figure of Ali. Just not. I don't even need listed. I just want Ali on the hood. It's not painted, so the hood would still be black, but it's like dented in.
Okay.
That's maldita pobreza. That's next level money right there. I don't even know.
That's the next project.
One question, and then we're going to wrap this up. This is a good one because I've always wondered about this man because of the pandemic, I started watching more YouTube fights. And one man that I watched recently, and it was hard to figure out where he was at, and Antonio brings it up, Edwin Valero. Thoughts of him?
Yes.
Who was this man?
Valero, I mean, Edwin Valero was a Golden Boy fighter at one time, then was promoted by Taken Boxing, Venezolano. At one time, I believe he was 19-0, 19 knockouts, all in the first round. I remember Mr. Honda telling me that he would give bonuses to opponents if they can get past the first round. Rudy Hernandez has told me that he's never seen anybody work harder. He was in a camp with Barrera where Sendai would tell me, man, you know how the Barreras run and everything. Well, Valero would pass, and then the next round he would pass again. I mean, he was just a madhouse in the ring and also in the gym. He didn't know that sparring, hey, it's just to warm up and practice. He would go 100 miles an hour in and out of the ring. And obviously, I mean, he had a tragic end. It's a crazy story, but we didn't see his potential because he died so early.
Omar Figueroa was sparring with him at one point.
That's right. Omar Figueroa sparred him for the DeMarco fight. And that's right. I'm glad you bring that up. Omar's dad calls me and says, Roberto, Omar was still a baby. Omar's still a baby.
He was like 19 at the time. Yeah.
And Omar's dad calls me and says, hey, me hablaron to, they want Omar to spar Edwin Valero. What do you think? And Omar's dad would ask me and check with me, and I said, no, not at all. He goes, why? I think it's great experience for Omar, and he'll learn a lot. I said, first of all, Edwin doesn't know how to spar. He's going to hurt Omar. They went anyway. Against my advice, they went. A couple of days later, he called me, and he said, you were right. This guy doesn't just spar. He goes out and... But now I'm thinking, oh, now he's going to tell me he's in the hospital, he's hurt. And I said, te lo dije, ya ves, what happened? Oh, well, they want us to be now the main sparring partner. They're gonna send the other guys home. They love Omar. I said, but he's okay? Yeah. He came back and said, hey, this guy's fucking hard. He's tough. But I love it, Dad. I love it. That taught me a lot about Omar at that time. Yeah. Not only did he love his sparring, he was the only sparring partner that when I think the fight was in Monterrey, Joel.
Yeah, Monterrey.
They took Omar, invited him. Edwin really liked him and invited him to Monterrey to the fight with DeMarco.
Wow.
And yeah, Omar was a baby, 19 years old.
Yeah, Omar told me that when he hit him, he says, man, that guy hit so hard. He goes, I come to the corner and I told my dad, he says, I told my dad that he hurt me. And my dad says, okay, that's it, stop. And they told him, no, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. He goes, in the first round when he hit me so hard that I was like, oh, shit. So after the round was over, I come to the corner and I told my dad, Dad, this guy really hurt me. And he got me really bad. And then the dad told him, see, I told you, okay, that's it, stop. He goes, no, I'm going to get him back. He goes, hey, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. That's how Valero was. I met Valero at the press conference in LA when he fought Pitalua. That guy had a short temper. He wanted to fight at the press conference with his opponent.
Barrios. I think he was going to fight Barrios.
Yeah.
And that wasn't his opponent.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It wasn't his opponent. He was just going to fight somebody else?
So Barrios was fighting somebody else. Valero was fighting Pitalua. Casamayor was fighting, I think, Julio. I mean, that was lightweight lightning that a lot of the fighters were old veterans, but names. And a lot of the fights didn't materialize because of injuries in camp. So I wasn't at the press conference, but I remember hearing that Valero got up and said, all these guys are old and step aside because I'm the young guy. and Barrios got offended and said, they might be old, but I'm not old. I'll kick your ass. And I think they almost started fighting each other. And I mean,
it was on the glove table because they were signing. Golden Boy had a table full of gloves, and everybody was signing them. And I was there when I saw Valero on one side, and Valero was on the other side, and they were talking back to each other when they were signing gloves. So Valero sort of got mad, and he goes, "Okay, come." And he goes, "Okay, vente para acá." And they were about to face each other. Because Barrios wasn't like gonna back down either, and everybody's like stopping him, But yeah, man, that guy was crazy.
Yeah, he died in 2010. Committed suicide after being arrested on suspicion of killing his wife. It's the only man to in 30-year history of the WC to win every fight of his career by knockout. Like, that's just crazy. Like, but then that's another thing about the sport of boxing. You're always, like you said, you're always going to see something, always meet somebody who's completely different. Man.
Valero was having the beginning of his career under Golden Boy, beating everybody. Obviously, he retired undefeated, or he died undefeated. When Golden Boy took him to New York to do a fight, in New York they required an MRI. California at the time didn't require MRIs. That's when they discovered he wasn't licensed to fight, because they discovered in the MRI Valero had a hole in his head.
Motorcycle accident. Huh?
Motorcycle accident. When he was young in Venezuela, he had stolen a motorcycle. He was on the run. They were chasing him, and he had an accident, hit his head, and I guess they said, you don't need a plate, you don't need any, here, sew him up. But he had like a little hole. So in boxing, they said, we can't license you. A punch there in the soft tissue hits the brain, you could be dead. No. That's where he goes to Japan and continues his career.
Oh.
It took him a long time to get approved and licensed to fight the States again. Once he did, is when he fought Pitalua in Texas. That was his very first fight back, and he won the world title that night.
This dude had a hole in his head?
Yeah, from a motorcycle accident.
Fuck. I mean, I every single week I learn something new. Like, I kid you not, and I thought I knew, but I didn't know he had a pinche agujero en la cabeza. Like, I mean, like, like.
That's why he couldn't get licensed here. That's the reason why he fought in Texas. He couldn't fight in Vegas. He couldn't fight in California. That's why he fought in Texas.
Well, Texas is completely different. It's
I remember that issue. They were trying to find a spot for Valero to fight, but
they actually took him. He saw so many doctors and did so many tests and everything to say, look, neurosurgeons, Dr. Ignacio Madrazo, one of the best neurosurgeons in.
Wait, his name is Ignacio Madrazo?
Yeah.
He prepared a letter, examined him, and helped a lot to get him approved to get licensed in Texas.
Wow. Man, my goodness. All right. Whose dog is barking right now? Because somebody's telling him, hey, that's...
Not mine. It's Roberto, probably.
These pinchy little Frenchies that want to go eat the little puppy.
Well,
they see an intruder.
An intruder. Well, another good edition of ThursDIAZ. Muchachos, saludos to everybody. We will do it again next Thursday.
I have one for you guys.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, I don't have to finish it, but go ahead. If you have stories, stories, I got wine, so I have no problem. I charged the computer. I got new software. We're good to go. And if you guys don't want to ask questions, pues que se vayan, because Roberto and Joel just keep talking. Vámonos, plática.
I have two quick stories that are...
Make it three, because this wine is good.
Unique. I'll go with the oldest first.
Vamos.
Marco Antonio Barrera against Eric Morales 3. There was an issue with gloves. In Nevada at the time, the champion chose the brand of gloves. The challenger had to use the same brand that the champion chose. In the third fight, Eric Morales was the world champion at 130 pounds, super featherweight. In the contracts made between promotions, it read, each fighter can choose their own brand. Eric Morales chose winning. Marco Barrera chose Reyes. But when we get to Nevada, Nevada said, it doesn't matter what you guys have in your contracts. Our rule is Barrera has to wear winning. So we tried to appeal it, everything. Nevada ruled, no, Barrera has to wear winning gloves. The day before the weigh-in, Thursday. Now, Joel is going to appreciate this as a trainer. This is not common. It doesn't happen quite often, but it was very normal for Marco, especially a smaller fighter coming up in weight. Thursday night, it's about 6 in the afternoon, 6 in the evening, and Marco said, I get a call from Raul Jaimes. There's still a little bit of doubt if the fight's going to happen or not because of the gloves. And Raul calls me, and a couple of people. Raul had Golden Boy had an advisor at the time named Rafael Mendoza, who had been around boxing for many years, Cobra Mendoza. And they said, hey, we want to go up and see Marco. And I said, sure, no problem. So I go meet him at the elevator, bring him up to the room. We go into the room, and the room smells like food. And I remember the first thing they asked me is this Marco's room? And I said, yeah. Are you guys? And a couple of the teammates are eating hamburgers, In-N-Out burgers. Why are you guys eating in his room? Tomorrow's the weigh-in. Isn't that going to bother Marco? I said, I don't know. Ask him. He's right there in the corner. And they look at Marco eating his In-N-Out burger. Thursday evening. Tomorrow's the weigh-in. So they go in.
Wait, hold. He's eating In-N-Out the night before?
He's eating In-N-Out burger with his fries. So they talk about the glove issue. It's mentioned. They're talking, okay, well, we'll see tomorrow at the weigh-in, blah, blah, blah. They leave the room. And Mendoza tells Golden Boy people there, the glove is just an excuse. Marco doesn't want to fight. And they said, what do you mean? He's not going to make weight. Never in all my years have I seen this. The day before the weigh-in, the fighter eating a hamburger.
Huh. As Roberto froze. We'll get there. Let's see if Roberto unfreezes pretty soon. Oh, he's stuck! Joel, you're not stuck, right?
I'm here.
Joel, all right, so I think Roberto's connection is frozen. Oh, you got a beer? Oh, that was good. He left us on a cliffhanger.
That was a great story, man.
So Barrera's eating. He doesn't want to go. Oh, where's Bobby at? Oh, Bobby. Oh, let's see if we can get him back. He's stuck there. Oh, see, his IT guy left him. He can't get anything. Oh, my goodness. No, I'm here. Joel's there. Roberto,
I'm here.
Roberto is frozen. We need the story. What happened? Oh. Let's see if Roberto can connect again.
We gotta get him back, Beto. We gotta get him back. That was a good story.
I know, he's in shock. Look, I'm even showing the frozen part right there. Where it's like, no, he's still in shock. It's Fino Boxing. Hey, Fino Boxing, what's up? And congratulations to Fino Boxing. They do a great job of promoting the sport of boxing. Let's see here. There you go. Hey, Bobby.
Did I drop off or you?
Oh, you dropped off a lot because everybody is just here. All right, let's all breathe. Let me just show you what everybody's saying. He is in shock. The hamburger. ¿Qué está pasando? It was getting good. Okay, so let's go back.
Roberto, you left off where it says they said that
he doesn't want to fight.
An excuse. The gloves is not an issue.
The gloves is not the issue. He's not going to make weight. He's just using the gloves as an issue to not fight.
Okay.
So the next morning, obviously the routine was first thing in the morning, get on the scale. And Marco was a little heavy. But Marco, I don't know if it was like a mental thing or what. He also would say, look, I want to put some grease in my body so that after the weigh-in, when I put the grease in, no me cae pesado. But it was also a way of saying, I've earned it because I've worked so hard, I can do it. He was a pound or two up. Marco would put on the plastics, the hules, and let's go run. Right before the weigh-in, vamos. Come in and basically make the weight for a few seconds and then bounce up. After the weigh-in, he makes the weight. So it wasn't, the hamburger, but who eats a hamburger? Probably a lot of fighters, and Joel can tell you, are drying out the day before or not eating 2 or 3 days before. Marco had an In-N-Out burger, made weight, and then when we go to the glove table, it's only winning gloves, and they're all yellow. Now, let's go back in history. How many times have you guys seen yellow gloves being used in a fight? I've never seen them, only that time. Somebody from Marco's past had told Team Morales, Marco has trouble with the light colors, so make sure you take light colors. Yellow gloves all over. Oscar was right there, said, Marco, if you're not comfortable with him, we'll cancel the fight right now. This is the day before. This is right after the weigh-in.
Yeah.
MGM sold out. This is the third fight. And Marco picks up a pair of gloves and says, con winning nos vamos a chingar. Vámonos. That's the story of the hamburger and the winning gloves.
Wow. And then he had El Coyote. He had all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
A lot of it at that time becomes the physical part's been done.
Yeah.
A lot of it, now it's psychological. Exactly.
There needs to be like a 30 for 30 on Barrera Morales because there's every single week you come in with a different kind of story about it, and the fact that they hated each other so much that TJ against Mexico City, the upper class, the lower class, the class war that they had going back and forth, and now los dos ahí trabajando muy lado a lado announcing a fight in tuxedos.
They're actually talking about the fourth, believe it or not. They're talking about doing a charity event and fighting each other one more time.
Beto, but look, just because they're working with a suit and a tie along each other doesn't mean they like each other.
They
still
se aguantan, but I don't think they're and they've gone out, they've had dinner.
Aguantan, but that thing is there. Like, I mean, believe me, acá Morales has that ego where
yes.
And Morales and Barrera the same.
To this day.
To this day.
They get along. The wives get along better, I think, than they do. You know, the wives get along really good, and I think the wives have helped get them a little bit closer. But it's still, look, what makes a fighter unique and special? That they have that ego, that ni madres, that fuck you attitude. You know what? I'm better than you. And Eric has one of those attitudes that, a mí nadie me gana, I'm better than everybody. And every once in a while he'll say things, and Marco's like, he's more chill. That'll be like, sí, está bien. But I know him, that if they do get into that exhibition, and it's an exhibition for charity, once that first punch lands, que diga el otro, hey, te estás pasando, cabrón. Then it's going to turn into chingadazos all over again.
Yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Hey, Roberto, you know the only time when Morales became a trainer, we beat Jesse Vargas with Bradley, right? When he was training Vargas. And then along the road, and you know this kid, I trained a kid from Algodones. His name is Oliver Quintana. He's 15-0, 15-1, or something like that. Strong kid. Very strong kid. Not a very skillful kid, but very strong. I mean, he hits really hard. He's like an Omar Figueroa type of kid. He's lefty, righty, right? So his manager tells me, hey, I got Oliver a tough fight. Really? Yeah. He's fighting in Ensenada. And he gives me the name of the kid, right? All right. So I said, I'm going to send Toño. He goes, no, you come. I go, no, Toño can handle it. Oh, please, you come. Because the newspapers over here, they got you, they want to see you. I go, look, Arturo. You know, remember the kid from the guy, the dentist from Algodones? Arturo Beltran, you met him. And I said, look, Arturo, okay, I'll go. So I get to Algodones, and I see we're fighting this kid, Ezequiel. That kid, remember the Cheque, that kid that fought
Cheque, yeah.
The guy that fought Avilés, yes. the kid that fought, when he was undefeated, Morales was training him. I mean, great. He was in great shape. I'm like, wow. So we go to Ensenada.
He fought Bandido Vargas in Chihuahua.
Yeah. But when his first fight, he lost to Oliver Quintana, that kid that I trained. In Ensenada, when Eric Morales was training. And I said, okay, well, this is going to be a tough fight. I remember first round goes in there, and the first round they're going back and forth. Second round. Well, by the fourth round, Roberto, they give us the cards. And we were ahead. And then in the 8th round, they give us the cards, and we're winning, Roberto. We're winning the fight. But Eric Morales is in the opposite corner.
So he's ahead now?
And I'm winning the whole fight, and we're losing. And I'm already mad. You know me when I'm in that corner. I'm like, hey, I said, Oliver, and I'm yelling at this kid, and I'm like, ugh. And like, hey, vas ganando la pinche pelea y estamos perdiendo, cabrón. Le dije, vamos, boom. And then going into the 9th round, Roberto, I tell Oliver, noqueame a este cabrón. And he goes like this, he goes, profe, ¿lo noqueo? Noqueame a este cabrón. Hey, he goes in there, Roberto, and he goes, blah, 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 boom, knocks him out. And then after the fight, I tell him, Oliver, ¿por qué no lo noquetes antes? I said, porque usted no me había dicho, profe. I go, really? I go, so you were waiting for me to tell you knock him out. He goes, es que usted no me había dicho, profe. They call him El Monaguillo, Roberto. He's a guy that doesn't talk. He's very quiet.
I remember El Monaguillo.
So, le digo, Oliver, noqueame a este cabrón. And he goes, ¿lo noqueo, profe? Sí, noqueame este. And he goes in there and knocks him out after the fight out. ¿Por qué no lo habías noqueado antes? He goes, pues usted no me había dicho, profe. Okay. So now I know.
Wow.
That's one of the times where I had met Morales before, but he came to me and says, hey, muy buen trabajo, hey. Este morro no crees que era muy fácil. El morro venía bien preparado y le ganaba una un buen morro, So, and great guy, Morales. But
I at the time during the 10 years, I mean, remember that when I met.
He said, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, you hadn't told me to knock him out. But before I met Marco, I was a big fan of both. I mean, I lived in San Diego, in Chula Vista, 10 minutes away from Tijuana. So Marco had lost and retired a little bit. I was a big fan of both. Both of them were the big names in boxing. One was a former world champion, one was a current world champion. Obviously, when they tied up to fight each other, I had already met Marco, and I was like, nah, you know what? I'm with Marco. I was a fan of Marco before I was a fan of Morales. But one thing with Eric is during those 10 years that they fought, because they fought every 2 years, during that period, I didn't like Morales, because I was Team Barrera. Today, after meeting him, after they're both retired, I realized how good Eric Morales really was. Eric Morales was a bad dude. He fainted. He did things in the ring. I mean, he turned southpaw against Manny Pacquiao. He beat Manny Pacquiao when Manny was in his prime. This kid was special. His struggle was always weight. No matter what weight class he went up to, he always struggled with weight. But Eric Morales was just a very special fighter. Marco tells you, the guy could punch. He had a will to take a punch. I mean, that first fight with Marco, I don't know how he stood up. There was rounds where you see him bend over like, ya no puedo más, but nah, I'm not going to lose to Barrera. And he would come out with vamos, and you don't see that today. It's very rare to see those type of fighters,
Yeah.
And Bobby, you said you had another story? You had two for us tonight?
We were talking about things when fighters are. You had mentioned somebody earlier where they were giving birth. Joel mentioned that the fighter didn't fight. His mom had passed away, and then his wife was giving birth that day. Mm-hmm. I was in the UK with in London with Jorge Linares. He was going to fight Kevin Mitchell, and Jorge's wife was in labor. Jorge's wife was pregnant. And we got there like a week before the fight, and Jorge's like, hey, all excited. I'm going to fight. I'm going to defend my title. But I'm also going to have a baby. So I was always in touch with the wife. We were calling. My wife would call her. How's everything? And then my wife got told, hey, I'm going into labor. So I didn't want Jorge to know. So I went and told the team, hey, his wife's going into labor. I don't want Jorge to know anything. This is a big fight. I don't want him to break his concentration and be worried about, is the baby okay? Is the baby born? Is my wife okay? What's going on? So everything was hush. During the fight,
wow,
the baby's born, or the baby was born a few hours before the fight. but nobody told Jorge. He kept asking, anybody know anything? No, no, todo bien. She's in the hospital. She's getting ready. But the fight. During the fight, my wife's on FaceTime showing her the fight, and Jorge gets dropped, and she's getting all scared and nervous, and Jorge gets up, and long story short, Jorge wins by knockout, stops Kevin Mitchell. I think it was the 10th round. I walk into the ring with the FaceTime still on the phone. I said, give me your phone. I walk in, congratulations. You're a proud father of a baby girl.
No!
I put the phone right up onto him on his face, and it's the baby girl. And all he does is start crying right there.
Wow.
Because he didn't know that she had gone into labor. And that was planned. I didn't want him to break concentration. I mean, what can he do at that time? So, right now, you have a job to do. Take care of the job. And after, go back home and be your dad and be the husband. But right there, he broke down and he was all excited. Obviously, he had won and he was a proud father. So, those are the kind of things that sometimes you have to take away and hold. And it's hard. Because then if something goes wrong, why didn't you tell me this and that? But you try to say what benefits are if I tell them right now, or if something bad happens or tragic, what can they do if you tell them? It's only going to mess them up more. So you hold it back and you don't tell them.
So the first time that Leonardo sees his daughter is after he got dropped for the first time, won by a knockout. He's in the ring. The emotions of knocking somebody out are already crazy, and you're showing him his brand new kid.
Yep.
Wow.
I walked into the ring. I said, "Congratulations, not on the win, but on your baby girl." And the baby girl was on the screen on the phone.
That's crazy.
Wow. It's like you hear a lot of people who are athletes where they miss the birth of a child because they're trying to rush to get there. I cannot even imagine what Jorge was going on, where it's, hey, anybody know any idea? And respect to his wife, and I mean, for her to say, you know what, I don't want him to know what's going on because his job is to stay locked in. Because if his mind isn't 100%, he's not right, and he can get hurt.
He could get hurt. It could cost him his life. He could lose. I mean, there's so many things that could happen. I mean, even Jorge tells me today that when he went down, what he thought right away was his daughter.
Yeah, of course.
And that gave him he didn't know she was born yet, but he thought, I have to get up for my baby girl.
Yep.
That gave him the energy to get up and win.
It's a beautiful sport, man. Like, once again, respect to anybody that gets into the ring, gets involved with it. But my goodness, and as Freddie Prieto and the Green Eye Bandit say, that's why ThursDIAZ is the best. The background stories, it's like the plática of just where you may think you know a fighter. That's why when people criticize a fighter, it's like, you know what? There's so much behind it. Yeah, the politics get involved, the managers get involved, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're going to get in that ring, and you don't know what these guys are going through. As you say, Coach, maldita pobreza.
You know what, Beto? A lot of people can judge. A lot of people can criticize. But, I mean, you have to live the sport. You have to live around these fighters to know what they go through, And it's part of it, I mean, we have to deal with it every day. I mean, there's people that criticize based on what they see, but they don't see what comes behind you, Every fighter, every trainer, every promoter, every manager, on a daily basis, they go through a lot of stress. People don't see it. They only see
the end result.
Yeah, exactly. They only see the end result.
Sometimes that end result could be a one-round knockout. Oh, that was an easy fight. But they don't know there's been 10 weeks of not seeing your family, of running every day at 5 in the morning, of dieting, of sparring hundreds of rounds, maybe the end result was easy. But those 8-10 weeks of hard work and not seeing your family and the sacrifices they put in. Look, I don't know if he's still on, but James Crunch.
Oh, he is. He's watching right now. This kid lived in a fucking hotel
He lived in a
Bathroom.
hotel. He was homeless.
Hotel
He was
bathroom.
in a bathroom stall because he wanted to become a world champion, and he is so dedicated. The other day, I on a call, I said, you know what? He reminds me of a throwback fighter of Vinny Paciencia,
No
the
way.
Tasmanian Devil. Just exciting, electrifying fighter, a character. He reminds me of one of those fighters from back in the day. There's a fighters to this day that you see that remind you a little bit of a fighter from the past, and
Vinny
he's one of
Paz
them.
though, that's a legend. Vinny Paz bad.
Hey, for those that haven't seen his movie,
Woo!
Bleed
Yes.
for This,
Yes.
you got to see that movie because it's not just about boxing; it's about the human, uh, how strong a human being can
Yeah.
be,
And to
how
come
you
back.
can be close to death or close to career ending and not giving up. And this guy with a broken neck after a major car accident went back to the gym against doctors, defied everything, and said, "I'm gonna do my weights. I'm gonna train. I'm gonna fight again."
Yeah.
I mean, that movie is just so motivating. It's a great
Yeah, it's
movie.
on
And
Netflix right now. Check it out. Vinny Pazienza.
yep.
Man, it's so good. It's man, look, look. I can keep going. You got another story? Another story, or you guys are done?
Joel, come on.
Look,
No,
I mean,
not on Antonio, please.
Wait,
Not on
no,
did your
That's
IT
what I'm
bring you
here
another
for.
beer?
oh, of course. Look. When we started earlier. Salud, Roberto. We started talking about memorabilia, and that was basically our topic today was memorabilia, and then we got a little derailed, But when it comes to memorabilia, I do have, to me, is very precious. Honestly, I don't have the memorabilia that Roberto has, but whatever I have, as minimum as it is, I appreciate a lot. I have gloves from fighters. For example, I never ask. It's always been like, to me, I feel bad asking for pictures, asking for autographs. I've been around a lot of people. I've been in the elevator by myself with Mike Tyson. And it was me and my son
But
getting.
that's the time when Joel covered his ears, though.
Yeah. Hey, we get in this elevator. We get in this elevator, and my son's with me, and there's Mike Tyson, and he's talking to me. I mean, it's like, wow, I didn't know this guy know me. I know this guy knew me, so I'm talking to Mike Tyson.
Wait. Mike
Elevator,
Tyson knows you?
yeah, and to me, it was like one of the greatest experiences
That's
of my life.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Walking in the elevator, and I'm right there, and I see Mike Tyson, and he starts talking to me. And okay, and he starts talking to me, and he just goes on and on and on, and we get off, the elevator opens, and we get out, and we're still talking. He's still talking to me, and he's telling me, it was when Bradley was gonna fight Pacquiao and so and so, and then I'm telling my son, record something, get a phone, a little video or something,
Like, hey,
because
hey.
and he did get a little short little video, um, I mean, when we're in Dallas
Wait, hold on. You didn't
for
take
the
the you
fight.
didn't, you didn't get a picture with Tyson?
No, I'm telling you, I never asked. I've been around a lot of people.
That's
I'm
that's
not.
that's when your son should have said, "Hey, Mike, can we get a picture here?"
Look, I mean,
That's why
I'm
he got
very.
fired as IT. That's why.
Yeah. Look, Beto. I'm very. I
I
don't
got
know.
you.
I just feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
asking people for. I've been
I got
around a
you.
lot of people in
Yeah.
boxing. I mean, I've seen Mike Tyson many times. In Kentucky, the promoter was Holyfield, and I was with Holyfield by myself at times, and I never did, But the thing is,
I'm like you, coach. Where it's like, hey, you're a guy. You're a guy. Inside, yeah,
yeah,
but you don't want to
but-
bother because
Yeah.
you're probably having a good conversation. A good
Exactly.
guy. You don't want to ruin the moment. Like Roswell says, not me. I'm a fanboy. We're not fanboys. It's like
Look,
you have the
when,
memory. That's more important.
Yeah, when Canelo fought Smith, Liam Smith in Dallas, Roberto, before the weigh-ins, I'm standing right there minding my own business. Bernard Hopkins comes, and I'm standing next to Bernard, and Bernard just talking to me. Like we're just talking. I'm like, man, I mean, like if we were friends, and it's just me and him, and we're going on. He's talking to me about this, that. It was great, those are things that for me are in my mind. They're
Treasure. No,
Yeah,
that's treasure.
those moments.
and I didn't even bother asking Bernard for a picture, honestly. But I do have a picture up in my office over there that is Muhammad Ali and the Beatles,
Yeah.
signed by both of them. Okay, but that was when he was Cassius Clay. I mean, you can
Yeah.
the autograph is Cassius Clay.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've
Wow.
The
seen it.
Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay, one another one. Watch, and this is one of my favorite stories because when I was doing construction, everybody knew I was a boxer. And walking into these big country clubs here in the valley, I'm talking about, I mean, $1 million homes. And as I'm working in this house, I met the owner of the house. And as we're talking, somebody says, "Hey, he's a boxer already." So he starts talking to me. Well, the man comes to the Coachella Valley because, there's in summertime nobody comes because it's too hot. So when it's high season, which is like in wintertime, they come and they hang out, and this is a place to be. I remember before he left, he was from Canada. He walks outside, Roberto. He walks outside and he gives me a picture. And he tells me, "Hey, come here." He goes, "I want to give you a gift." And he gives me a gift. He goes, "This is an original copy, Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson." Okay? Yeah. I have it. I have it right here. I have an original copy picture, original copy, Roberto, of Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson when he was 5 years old
Yeah.
in the ring. Okay? And he tells me, "I'm gonna give it to you because you're a great person, and I'm gonna leave to Canada, and I might not see you again. So this is for you." So I kept that picture, Roberto, for many, many years. When my brother was helping Oscar spar up in Big Bear, I would go with Antonio, and as we would explore Big Bear, I found uh, I found this store in Big Bear where they buy memorabilia, and they had a lot of pictures of celebrities, sports memorabilia and what. So one day, I think I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I would like to know how much this picture is worth." So we went to the store, and I asked the guy at the store. I says, "Sir, I got a picture, original copy. What is it worth?" And right off the bat, Roberto, he tells me, "I'll give you $40 right now." He goes, "But if you get it signed by both of them, I'll give you 40,000." Like that. But I was never gonna get close to Michael Jackson. I was never, got the opportunity to get close to Muhammad Ali. But like he told me, right there and then, like he didn't think about it. He goes, "Right now, I'll give you $40. But if you get it signed by both of them, I'll give you 40,000."
Wow.
That's
Wow.
You know what I mean?
it's the stuff.
That's crazy. And I've never seen that picture. I mean, not that I haven't seen it from Joel, but you know how you see
Anywhere.
pictures
Yeah, no.
of Ali on magazines or
Yeah.
here and there. I've never seen a picture of Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson. You've seen of Muhammad and the Beatles. You've seen of so many different pictures of Muhammad Ali, but that one,
Nah.
I'll show it to
that,
you.
that's awesome.
I have it.
It's on your wall, right, Joel?
It's not even on my wall.
Oh no, that's on your wall. Okay, I thought you'd have it on the
I'll
wall.
show you. I'll show you guys. And I still have it's the picture, and on the bottom it tells you original copy, original picture, original picture, and it has Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson on the very bottom corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still have the picture.
And
I don't even have them.
And see, that's a treasure because one, it's rare, but two, it was un detalle from somebody that really thought highly of Joel to say, "This is something that I feel like you should have." Yeah. And that's what makes it more unique, whatever it is, that it's like, you give me this. Look, I've had so many young fighters that today they might not be world champions. After their fight, have come up and give me their gloves and say, "Esto es para ti. Gracias."
Right.
And it's not so much the glove, it's that gracias, and that they would think of you to give them. Oscar Duarte, one time after his fights, here. Pablo Cesar Cano, one time after his fight, here's my trunks and my gloves. Little things like that are like, you treasure because they mean so much to them, but they thought of you to say, "You mean so much to me." James Crunch Time That's right. James Crumpsang Williams. I have a pair of his gloves. He came over and autographed the gloves and say, "Thank you for the opportunity to put me." This is even before we signed him to Golden Boy.
It's pretty cool. That's why.
That's a really good. That's a really good. A really good memory to have, because
Absolutely.
this is what I do when I work with fighters. This is my tradition. That's why when I ask a fighter, it really throws me off, and it makes me. I mean, it makes me feel like crap, honestly, because to me is I'm asking for something that I don't like to ask, but I do it just to keep it as a souvenir, as a memory. When I'm part of a fight, a championship fight, and it's always been, when I'm part of a championship fight, world championship fight, there's always two pairs of gloves. The ones they use, which is number one and number two. After the fight is over, I'm embarrassed to ask, but I do it because to me, I would like to just have it, and I do. I have it over here. I have gloves hanging on my wall. Gloves hanging on my wall from fights that I worked in world title fights. It's not the fights they use. It's the second pair. I always feel like, hey, do you mind giving me the second pair and signing them so that I can put them up there as a memorabilia? I have Lucas Matiz's. I have Bradley's. Omar Figueroa's. I have some of Antonio's, Julio's. But most of the fighters that I've helped in world championship fights, I usually ask them for the second.
Because that's special for you right there, and it's and it's funny because the things that you keep as like me, having worked in sports for 20 years, I don't have much memorabilia because one, as a reporter, you're not allowed to get that stuff. Two, I don't want. I'm like you, coach. I'm not a fan. I keep little things. I rather keep my credentials, like a picture that I might take, something like that. That's why one of the things I learned early on, whenever I learned this from, I think Paulie Malignaggi said this to me, because when I started working the fights for Golden Boy or Fox, he's like, these young kids who are the opening bout or the swing bout, if they lose, they might never come back here, and they don't know about fighter meetings. He's like, so if they want a picture, I'm going to take it with them. So every single time I work with Bernard or one of the, like Sergio Mora, I always tell the kid, especially if he's a Mexican kid from Mexico, I'm like, ¿Quieren su foto? And they want to say yeah, but they don't. And I'm like, no, get in there. And I'll like, give me your phone. And I ask always, every single time, here, get in there, take the picture. And Bernard is the best, where he's like, puts the hand up, the champ, all that other stuff. Because, look, if you're a swing bout guy, you might ever going to do this again. But
it means the world. It means the world to them because, yes, they see these guys growing up. That's one of the reasons they started boxing, maybe because they saw them one day and got inspired by them. So to them, a picture, a word of advice means way more than a couple seconds.
Recently, some of the very last gloves I got from a world championship fight, and very humble. I said, hey, do you mind if I keep your second pair? You sign them to me just to keep them. Was Lamont Roach.
Oh yeah, Lamont's a good kid, man. I like him.
Lamont Roach.
Yeah.
Against Jamal Herring. I mean, he came short on the fight, but it was a world title fight, and he was very.
You know what?
Very great, but giving me his second pair of gloves and signed them to me, and I have them hanging there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Matisse, I mean, Francisco
Lamont's
Vargas.
a great kid. Lamont's a great kid, and Joel said he came up short in this one, but trust me, that just lit up a fire that showed him, you know what? I know what I did wrong. I know what I didn't do right. Next time, it's not escaping, and that's the beauty of boxing. You learn from the mistakes, and you could get better. There's some fighters that never come back from a loss because they can't deal with the loss and they never come back. Naseem Hamed, one of the greatest fighters in the small weights, could never get over that loss. It affected him more mentally than physically. It wasn't a beating he took, but emotionally and mentally it destroyed him.
Yeah.
But some of these young kids today will learn that all the great fighters lost.
Yeah.
And a good example that I said the other day was Tyson Fury and Wilder 1-2. What was the difference? The difference was Fury went down, but he got up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wilder
Made
went
him
down,
stronger.
and he didn't get up. So it's not how many times you go down, and that's in life in general.
Yeah.
It's how many times you get up. Nothing can hold you down if you don't want it to hold you down.
Yeah. Art Alvarado says, do you have Jojo Diaz and Kakaz, coach, from that night in Miami?
No.
Oh, you didn't get the second pair from those guys?
Let's not talk about that.
Ah! Damn it.
Let's move on to the next question.
The next question is...
Next question.
The next question is next week we'll do ThursDIAZ. But yeah, no. But the whole point is, it's
ask Joel. Ask Joel when he got shoot out by a commissioner in Cancun for wearing shorts.
Okay, hold on. Let me hold on. Let me finish pouring.
Roberto,
Let me have a drink.
Okay. The final story of ThursDIAZ. Yeah. Hey, Celeste, vamos, IT.
Celeste, yeah. Hey, dice Beto, Celeste, IT.
Okay, we're gonna wait. I'm gonna put you full screen. We're gonna wait till we get the beer. And then the final story of the night. Once again, thanks to everybody for watching ThursDIAZ. And people are saying, hey, after the pandemic, you guys got to keep it going. You know, I would love to keep it going. Obviously, it's going to depend on the schedule for everybody else because hopefully there's fights on Friday nights and we can do this stuff. And wait till you guys look. I kid you not, I've already contacted somebody about recording this live where we can go to the studio on a Thursday and figure it out. We could do something. So look. These stories are too fucking good to just be wasted for the pandemic. We're going big time. We're going big. Celeste, vamos, let's go. IT, we need a beer. We're not gonna start the story until we go and get it. So
she's already on her way.
All right. Well, this time is well. I'm gonna go here. So
she walked by and she says, "Dad, there's no more Dos Equis."
So what are we gonna do?
Ya se las acabó during the week. Oh, Sol.
Oh, we got.
As long as he doesn't drink Corona. As long as he doesn't drink Corona. Look, he's had Victoria, he's had Dos Equis, he could have Sol, Modelo, but no Corona.
No, we don't.
This one's cold. Se tiene hielito, mira.
Ay, salud to everybody. Ay, everybody. So wherever you're watching on ThursDIAZ.
I'm surprised you remember that story. Because I was mad.
Okay, hold on. Before we set it up, let me do the final commercial. If you guys want ThursDIAZ on YouTube, it's also on iTunes and Spotify. Leave, rate, and review, and share it. I want you guys to let people know there's nothing else like this in the boxing world of what we do. It's also what you guys want to have. Maldita Pobreza. And we got to find a way to get the Joel Diaz new shirts out there. The shirts from 1996, we got to get them made, Coach. We're going to figure out a way, and we will get it going. The final ThursDIAZ story of the week. Go ahead, Joel Diaz. Johnny Canales would say, you got it. Take it away.
Well, the story goes like this, we go to Cancun. I had 2 fights that night in Cancun. But the reason why it really, really irritated me that night, because the commission in Cancun, they've been really good to me. Okay, they've been really good to me every time I go to Cancun. I've been going to Cancun many, many times. I remember one year when I had Roberto Mas Ortiz, I had Oscar Duarte, I had Joseph Aguirre, even Marisela Cornejo was fighting in Cancun. So I was going to Cancun constantly. So every time in the press conferences, weigh-ins, commission was always great. And there was one time, Roberto, and that's the reason why it really bothered me and it irritated me so bad that I sort of blacked out that night. I blacked out that I even got mad at myself because I'm like, I have a fighter fighting. Because I told Joseph Aguirre one day, Joseph Aguirre was going to fight, and I told Joseph, hey, Joseph, I have a big duffel bag full of gloves. I want to take them to Cancun, and I want to give them to kids that are less fortunate. I like to do that. And at that time, I had made hand wraps with my logo. I made thousands of pairs of hand wraps with my logo. So I took a lot of pairs of hand wraps. I took a lot of gloves, brand new boxing gloves. So when we land in Cancun, and then they're doing promos for Joseph's fight, he's the main event, and we go here. We went to the big old shopping center, like a mall. They had a ring. He did a media workout, and right after the workout, he says, "Hey, you know what? We want to give gloves to some of the kids." And we started giving gloves, hand wraps to the kids. I wanted to help. And then Joseph told me, "Hey, coach, the guy from the commission, he's a really good friend of mine. Is it okay we give him some gloves?" Sure, give him some gloves and whatever you want. We give him some gloves. Great. Every
And
time
and
from the,
and and not to interrupt, but he's a very good guy. He
yeah, he
helps
is.
a lot of the young fighters, and when Joel told me the story, and he'll continue right now, but I was shocked
Oh
because
man,
not only did it seem uncharacteristic of him, but also, how are you going to do that to Joel? Out of all the people that, it's not like
Roberto.
an unknown guy. He's a known guy. He's with the family. He's with Pepe
Right.
Gomez. He's with Cancun Bakti.
I train Pepe Gomez's fighters, and every time in the press conference, I always go and, "Hey, sir, how are you?" I shake his hand, and I'm a very respectful person, with
Absolutely.
everybody. So that was the time when I have Joseph Aguirre fighting the main event, and I got Marcelino Lopez fighting. Two fighters in the same card. So I get there, Roberto, and Marcelino goes in the ring first. But the thing is that he was sitting, I'm in this corner, and he's right there on my left hand side, right there, sitting next to me. And before the fight started, he never told me. I mean, I understand. If he would come and tell me, "Hey, you know what, Mr. Diaz, you cannot wear shorts going in the ring," or, "You know what, you're not dressed properly to walk in the ring." But to me, I've been in boxing for 20, I mean, for
That's not a rule. That's not like,
exactly. Okay. But the thing is that, I mean, that's why he threw me off, and he irritated me so much, Roberto, that I blanked out. And when I blanked out, that I was so mad, I had to calm down and focus on Marcelino, because Marcelino was fighting. And,
of course.
but I walk in the ring, they did the presentation and whatnot, and Marcelino's fighting. First round. Second round, Roberto. On the second round, when I get off the ring, I'm coming down the podium, and he comes to me and he's yelling at me. He says, "You cannot be working the corner with shorts." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
What?
Yeah. He goes, "Don't you read the rules of the?" I said, "What rules?" And he's yelling at me in the corner. He's telling me, "You cannot be wearing shorts to walk in the ring." I said, "Well, I never knew this." He goes, "You're supposed to know. You're supposed to know the rules." And I said, "Really?" I mean, I don't. So then I'm like, nobody ever told me anything. I've been in boxing for so many years, and nobody's ever told me that there's a dress code to work the corner.
And
You
he's
cannot wear shorts.
worked corners in every part of the world.
Hey,
You
Joe Goosen has denim. You can do whatever you want, bro.
And in
Exactly, but he's telling
Cancun,
me
if in anywhere in the world you can wear shorts, it should be
Cancun.
Cancun.
And Pepe Gomez has Versace shorts. It don't matter.
Yeah,
That was the problem. Those were like speedos.
Oh, okay.
Acapulco.
I wish. No, they were just regular shorts, regular shorts I use. And
In
he's yelling
Cancun.
at me in Cancun, and he's yelling at me, and he's right there standing next to me and telling me that I can't be in the corner because I'm wearing shorts. I cannot walk in the ring with shorts. So by then I'm like, oh man, I'm ignoring him, and he's yelling at me, and I'm trying to focus on the fight because Marcelino Lopez is
He's
fighting.
yelling at you during the round?
Yeah, during the fight in the second round, and I'm like, I'm trying to ignore him because he's yelling at me in front of everybody, and
It's
I'm
not
trying to
like
focus.
Joel can go run to the dressing room
I
and go
couldn't.
change
It was already the second
during the
round.
fight. What happens if he loses? Marcelino gets beat, knocked out.
But
Hey,
this
you
isn't
wouldn't
a
even
rule.
do
It's
it.
not a fucking rule.
It
Exactly,
must be
but
a rule in Cancun.
he tells me you're supposed to read the rules. I go, what rules? I don't have a
It's
book of
fucking
rules.
Mexico. There are no rules.
Exactly, and it's in Mexico. So then I remember after the fight, I'm really mad. Marcelino knocks the guy out. We get out of the ring, and I go to the dressing room. So I tell Joseph, your friend over there, your
Forget
friend,
about the gloves.
the
Forget
guy that
about
we
the
gave gloves
donation.
to, and he goes, really, coach? He goes, I don't know. And I say, you know what, dude? And I told him like this. I go, hey, I'm gonna grab him by the neck. As soon as this is over, I'm gonna put him to the side. I'm gonna grab him by the neck. He goes, coach, don't do it. I go, why? He goes, no, because this guy has a lot of power in the commission. And then I go, I don't give a shit. I don't like nobody humiliating me like that in front of people.
Hell
please,
yeah.
coach, don't do it. I go, you know what, dude? I'm telling you, as soon as I grab a hold of him, I'm gonna grab him by the neck and I'm gonna take him to a corner. I'm gonna tell him not to ever do this shit to me. So then I go, let me borrow your sweats. I wore Joseph's sweats. I put them on. I mean, he wears
Wait,
those
Joseph
skinny.
he weighs 135 pounds.
Exactly. I wore his sweatpants to walk in the ring for his fight.
From that day on, though, it became a moda. Everybody wants to wear the
Everybody has
sweat,
skinny
sweat
jeans.
now.
Everybody has skinny
Bien,
sweats.
bien apretaditos,
Yeah. No,
nalguitas
you
showing
got
and
no
everything.
circulation on your legs.
Yeah, they only go to your thighs. Oh my
Dude,
god.
I was like, I can't believe this guy did this. And then I went back after that, but after that I was like, I really don't, I look at the guy, but I don't really approach him anymore because there's ways. Honestly,
For everything, there's ways.
my wife, my family taught me different, there's ways. The way he approached the situation, if he would have came to me and told me, hey, coach, right here in Cancun, you're not supposed to wear shorts. I would have said, okay, sir, I didn't know. I'll make. But the way he was yelling at me, he
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
right here, just screaming at me, you can't be doing it. You're supposed to look at the rule book. And I'm like, what rule book? I don't know. I never knew there was a rule book in boxing.
There's not a dress code.
It's uncharacteristic of him, and it's very strange that he would do that. And you know what? Like Joel says, there's ways.
Yeah.
Hey, for the next fight, you got Joseph Aguirre. Make sure you change.
Exactly.
But this is a rule. You can't do this. Boom. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. But when Joel told me, I couldn't stop laughing.
I'm not lying.
He didn't like the piernitas. He said, "Hey, fucking."
He didn't like my hairy legs. No, the thing is that I was in the corner and I was like talking, and he was still yelling at me, and I was trying to
Wait,
ignore
so
him.
you're going, hey, left, right, get him up, uppercut, and there's
And
a
he's
guy,
right here.
put on pants, put on pants, put on pants.
You're supposed to know. You're supposed to know. You're a professional. You're supposed to know that to work a corner, you're not supposed to be wearing shorts. You're supposed to read the rules. And he's going on and on and on. And I'm like, but then I'm mad. But then all of a sudden, I sort of kicked in some senses, and I go, I gotta ignore this guy and try to focus on Marcelino.
Coach.
Because if I lose my focus over here, shit can go wrong.
Coach,
So
if you have a chance to knock that guy out or have chicken, what would you have?
I'll knock him out.
Antonio, he wouldn't have chicken in the oven that night.
If there was chicken in the oven, I would have knocked him out by the way he was screaming at me.
No, there's a story.
That's how mad you were. That you'd rather knock him out than have the chicken.
I told Joseph many times. I go, hey, if that guy comes around, dude, I'm gonna. And Joseph would tell me, and I'm telling you, one day Joseph Aguirre would tell you every time I would go to Cancun, I tell, hey Joseph, when you do this, I'm gonna grab this fucking guy by the throat, dude. No, coach, don't do it because this guy, he has a lot of political power here in the commission, and all it's gonna do is create some problems with me. And I don't do it because of him. Yeah. But or else,
because Joseph's from Cancun.
There's a story in boxing where the trainer, the head trainer, I don't remember his name right now, but he was the head trainer of John Ruiz. And he got into some kind of
the heavyweight, John Ruiz?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got into some kind of argument during John Ruiz's fight that he got escorted out into the dressing room during the fight.
Norman Stone?
Armin Stone. Awesome, Beto. Great. Antonio must have told you.
No. Norman Stone.
But Alex Rivera, who's now the head trainer of Rashidi Ellis, was working with Stone. And when Stone got kicked out, taken to the dressing room or taken out of the venue, I don't remember, Alex Rivera had to step in as the head trainer during the fight. And that's where Alex got his break of, I don't know if John ended up winning the fight, but that's where Alex gets his break as, hey, I can do this as a head trainer, and, obviously moved on. But that's what boxing is, opportunities that happen from things like that. What if Alex says, well, I can't do it? No. What happens to John Ruiz? So Alex jumps in, takes over the command, takes the boat, takes the ship, and goes forward with it.
Stony Stone was his name. He got into it with
his name?
Stony Stone, Norman Stone, and everybody called him Stony Stone. He got into it with the referee. I'm watching the video right now. Before the fight even started, in the ring. In the ring. He was kicked out of the ring by the referee. Wow.
And Alex Rivera, who now trains, head trainer and management of Rashidi Ellis,
the Puerto
steps
Ricans.
in and takes, But that's where boxing is so unique. So unique. You know, and it happens, I think, in football where a coach might get thrown out and the head coach, you know, the assistant coach comes in and takes over and stuff like that. But the beauty of boxing.
The beauty.
I think Alex Rivera.
I saw that, Roberto. I saw that when Floyd Mayweather fought this Argentinian guy early in his career. My brother Antonio was the main event. Antonio fought Alberto Cortez from Argentina. That was in LA, somewhere in LA. Antonio knows.
Wait, so hold on.
I think Alberto Cortez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Wait.
Yeah.
So Antonio is the main event and Mayweather he's the undercard?
Yeah.
Fucking Antonio's big time, bro, man.
I'm telling you. When Antonio fought Alberto Cortez in LA, Floyd Mayweather was the undercard. Floyd Mayweather fought an Argentinian, and the guy in the corner, there was a guy in the corner. By the way, he's my friend. His name is Marcelo Morales. Marcelo was with the Argentinian team in the corner, and he's complaining to the ref that Floyd is doing this, and Floyd is doing that.
Floyd fought a guy named Gustavo Fabian Cuello.
Yes, Gustavo Cuello, yeah.
Yeah, you guys fought at the Olympic Auditorium.
At the Olympic Auditorium.
Hold on. Look at this card. You had Antonio Diaz against Alberto Cortez, who was 77-1. Mayweather was 15-0. Obakar, Diego Chico Corrales, who was 19-0.
Wow.
And young Augie Sanchez at the Olympic Auditorium on a Saturday.
And Alberto Cortez,
1998.
You said Alberto was 77-1. Was his only loss with Chavez?
Alberto Cortez, 77-1 is his record.
Who was the last to?
No, he had lost to Icorte, Felix Trinidad. His first loss was to Chavez.
Okay.
His first loss was to Chavez. Then he lost to, then he won. Then he lost to Trinidad, who was 15-0. He lost to Icorte. Damn, that guy was bad, bro. Whoever that guy is.
Antonio was somebody back then. No se dejen llevar por cuerpo. Antonio's okay. See, hey, but look, the thing is that night, Roberto, I still remember when Floyd is fighting Gustavo Cuello, the corner guy was complaining about Floyd doing this and that. So the referee is, hey, time. So he tells the guy in the corner,
out of here.
So the guy is walking down the hall and he's going like this to the ref, like. And the referee didn't start the fight again until the guy left.
He was out.
Until he was out.
The kind of stuff you hear on ThursDIAZ. My goodness.
I want to do a shout out real quick. I want to show you guys a picture. I hope you guys could see it.
Hold on,
I got this picture yesterday. This shows you the next generation. It's a shout out to my godson. And I got the picture yesterday, and I'm like, or a day before, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Here you go.
Move it to your left, Robbie. Back up a little bit. That's hard to see. Lower it.
Yeah, too much light.
Lower. Light. Yeah, who is it?
Let me see if.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, yeah, we see it now. Yeah.
Barrera.
That's my godson, Marco Antonio Barrera Jr.
Really?
With Marco's trunks.
No way. That kid's ripped up.
He does a lot of CrossFit. He trains a lot. He does a lot of CrossFit. But when I saw it, I'm like, no, you can't be a fighter. No. He goes, yeah, I want to fight Terriblito. I'm like, what?
Terriblito. Are you serious?
See,
look at that.
It keeps on going. The generation feud. It's
generations.
Like the Hatfield and the McCoys. It keeps on going. All kinds of stuff.
Roberto, maybe on the next one that we get, I've always been curious about Marco, and maybe you can tell us a little more about it. When I followed Marco Antonio Barrera because, like I told you, he was I was a big fan of Marco Antonio Barrera. But growing up, I mean, I always heard stories of Marco. Uh, growing up, being going to school, his father, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've always wanted to know if it was true because they would tell me, oh, Marco Antonio Barrera was a kid that he never needed to box because his father was a doctor. He was, he was in a good position. Marco went to school. He graduated from the university, but he did boxing because he loved it.
No way.
And I've always said, boxing is for el boxeo es deporte de los pobres.
Así es.
But I've always been curious because they would tell me stories. Oh, Marco nunca no necesitó boxear. Él boxeó porque le gustaba. Su papá estaba en una buena posición. Él fue a la escuela, se graduó de universidad. Eso. And I just want to be able to be okay with that story. So if I ever tell somebody the story, and I want to be correct.
So Marco's dad he owned his own company. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a doctor. He owned his own company of scenografías. Okay. They would do movie sets and commercial sets. Back in the day, before the computers would do all the graphics and everything, mm-hmm. he would actually go in and set up whatever movie they were going to do or shoot they were going to do. He would set up the stage. Mm-hmm. So they were very well. The family was doing it. Marco said, as a young kid, he would go and help, and his brother would go and help and put the stages together and everything. Marco break into boxing was one of his uncles, mm-hmm. older uncles, when he was 6 years old, would train with Rudy Perez.
Right.
And Marco and his brother Jorge would go to the gym to mess around, mm-hmm. Hey, let's go see our tío, train. But they would jump mm-hmm. around, mess around, and Rudy would tell them, hey, come and train. Mm-hmm. And they would goof around, wrestle in the ring and this and that. And Rudy was very patient with little kids and really liked to work with young kids. And Marco, for those that don't know, Marco's a natural left-hander.
Yeah, I remember he was
natural lefty. Yeah, right. He ate with left, everything with left.
Just like Oscar.
Miguel Cotto. And Rudy said, aquí los zurdos, nadie quiere pelear con ellos. Los zurdos apestan. Mm. So I'm going to switch you to right-hander. That's why Marco's jab mm-hmm. was so strong, because that was his strong hand. And his signature punch was the left hook to the body. Mm-hmm. But from 6 years old, Rudy starts training him and Jorge, and they start competing and going to tournaments. And eventually, I didn't know this till recently, that in the finals, Jorge was going to fight Marco. They both made it to the final, and they were supposed to fight each other. There's two brothers. Right. But everybody thought Jorge had a better future. So Marco pulls out, and Jorge goes on. And they both go pro. They actually both fought Johnny Tapia. Mm. Jorge lost to Johnny Tapia, and Marco years later beats Johnny Tapia. And obviously Marco, one of the best fighters ever. I mean, as far as the university, he started. I mean, Marco turned pro at 15.
Okay.
He was going to school. I mean, I have pictures of Marco with very long hair down to his shoulders. He loved the Doors, Jim Morrison, El Rock. Mm-hmm. So, but he loved boxing. And it was a decision of deciding. It was a moment of, do I continue school? He wanted to be a lawyer,
right?
Or do I go to boxing? And he chose boxing, and I think it paid off. They later asked him through his career, would you go back to school? He said, it's been too long, too many years. I don't think I'll be good in a setting of a school. Mm-hmm. But obviously, he went on to commentating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to hear that story because. You guys say, deporte de los pobres. But at the same time, it doesn't matter where you come from. You got to have that heart to get into the ring. And I think that's been the theme today. It's where you got to have that fighting spirit of going after it and chasing your dream no matter what it is. Gentlemen, it's been another great edition of a great episode of ThursDIAZ. I was ready to stop it an hour and a half ago because we got so many. We found out Roberto had cancer. We found out you're 1 round short. And the karma that comes back to everybody. And at the end of the day, the people who've been commentating tonight, thank you so much to everybody, because the people that start at 8 o'clock with us have stayed with us till 10:24. So it's pretty cool, and I'll tell you this right now: when you do a podcast or you do a YouTube show, people watch for like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then you say, "Man," but the retention that we get, we're onto something right here, right now. But at the end of the day,
Thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody that stays listening, and I'm glad you enjoy it. And obviously, that's why we're here.
yeah, and it's the stories only continue to go, and I mean to go from back and forth. I keep a notes of what I'm gonna edit, and so many good things today. So we're gonna keep on going. So we'll do ThursDIAZ again today. Last words, Roberto Diaz.
Yes, last words is, you know what? What Joel didn't get from that pension, he got 10 times more from what his boxing career turned out as a great trainer, as a great mentor, as a great inspiration, a person to boxing, because whatever he could have gotten from the pension as a retired fighter is minimum of what he's getting today as who he is. I mean, first of all, he's a great friend of mine. He's family. But because of the person he is, a person that de palabra, a person that you can count on, a person that he might not like that fighter you send him, but he's gonna say, okay,
I'll work. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do now with 3 weeks to go. Omar Figueroa, what did you send me? But you know what? I just let the fans know that what you see is what you get. Joel is that person.
Yeah. As Art Alvarado and the Green Eye Band, let's say thank you so much for giving me through this pandemic. Art, gracias, buenas anécdotas. Garden Angel, this is awesome. It is pretty cool. And me as a host, like, I do a bunch of different things, but the editing I do this is fun. When I go back and listen to this is great. And it's we're on to something here. Even Cuñado, who's been watching, when people say, I'm gonna plan my night around what you're doing. That's awesome. Pretty cool right now. Whether it's one person or it's 100 people watching, it doesn't matter. Leti Ariola says, exactly, Roberto, your words just said it all about Joel. Joel, last word for tonight.
Well, it's...
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Joel. Razo is watching, so make sure it's good. Make sure it includes Razo. Si no, tu gallo va a llorar.
Look, no. The thing is this. When they embrace you the way they do, everybody around me, I'm talking about managers, boxers, managers, promoters. To me, when they embrace me and they make me feel part of their family, to me is like a motivation. And I'm telling you guys one thing: I will never fail. If I tell you, like Roberto says, if Roberto tells me one thing and he asks me, I'm going to tell him straight out the truth, and I will never do it because they have opened their doors to me and my family and everybody else around the boxing world. To me, that's why I say boxing is a family, and based on your character, based on your behavior, on your respect, you're gonna get the same back. And you know that the way you are, the way you act, the way you present yourself to people, that's the way you're gonna get back. And that's the reason why, to me, it motivates me. It motivates me to be part of this. It motivates me to be part of boxing, part of you, Beto, Roberto, Golden Boy, every company around the boxing world, because everywhere I go, they always treat me well. Hospitality is great. I'm never gonna talk bad about anybody because I've been all over the world in this sport of boxing. To me, it's been great. The fans, everybody watching, I really appreciate everybody. I'm very thankful for the fact that everybody's always there constantly, sending messages, supporting us. And that's what we're here, Beto. You do this ThursDIAZ, and it's great. We're going through this pandemic right now, and we're supposed to stay together. Remember, like I said at the beginning, if we fight this together, we'll win this fight. We just have to stick together. And in situations like this, like you podcast, Roberto, putting his time in and just talking about stories. People might know Roberto Diaz as a matchmaker. They know me as a trainer. They see what I do, but they don't know us in the personal level. And since you started this ThursDIAZ, people are already starting to get to know. Yeah. For example, somebody today texts me, Coach, when I put the picture of the shirt, and I said, this is the only memorabilia I have from when I was boxing, from my boxing career. and somebody says, Coach, I can't believe it, man. You know what? I'm so proud of you where you're at right now. When I heard that for sparring when you were a kid, you used to bite on when you used to bite
Yeah.
on toilet paper, you know, and people are watching your podcast and they bring it up and they're like, Coach, man, God bless you. I mean, when you started, you would bite on toilet paper to spar because you don't have a mouthpiece, and now you are. I mean, that's motivation for me. And every morning I wake up and hey, I gotta go. There's no time to waste. I gotta go because I'm committed to keep going.
And
Because
that's a great message to the fans or to any young fighter that times may be tough for a little while, but it doesn't last forever. And it's a good message to them today with the pandemic. You know what? Times are tough right now, but tough times make tough people.
yeah,
And we'll get through this together.
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah. It's
Look, you learned something about Roberto
wow.
that you didn't know. See, and look what the man is. Hey, honestly, a lot of people that really appreciate people is like, man, I'm so happy for the man that
Thank you.
battled, went through
Cancer.
hell, went through
Fuck.
hell and back. Because I mean, going through cancer. Believe me, I've seen cancer with my mother.
Yeah.
And if this man fought cancer and beat that, and he is where he is right now, I mean, you're supposed to, say, you know what, that man right there is an example of a hardworking person with good determination in the mind.
Yep.
And that's the
Thank you.
reason why it just makes people stronger. And to me, honestly, I mean, just getting to know Roberto and everything he went through, like, fuck, it
Yeah.
must have been tough for him, his family, getting to know that, fuck, you got cancer. I mean, that's not something that people deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. He got cancer and was still watching boxing.
And look where he's at right now. And that's motivation for some people like me.
Yeah.
To me, because I've seen it. I've seen it with my family, and now that I know that Roberto went through that battle,
Yeah.
man, I have much respect for him.
Yeah,
Gracias.
as a Green Eye Bandit says, getting to know the matchmaker and the trainer has been a pleasant experience, and that's what we try to do here for everybody else. So for Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, and thank you for everybody who's been watching ThursDIAZ. We will do it again next Thursday. We'll keep on rolling, and thanks to everybody who's been involved. And you know what? I'm out of wine. So is everybody else. Celeste, ya se acabó la cerveza. Roberto. But to you, everybody else, salud, cheers, and have yourself a good week. We'll see you next week on another edition of ThursDIAZ. Adios, everybody.
Have a good night, Roberto. Beto.
Adios. Buenas noches. How do I end this? Woo. I don't know how to end this. How do I end this? How do I end the show? I don't know how to end the show. All right. Let's see here. They're gone. All right. But I don't know how to end the show. Uh-oh. Me? They're gone. All right. Damn. There it is. Finish and broadcast.